We are live. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Welcome to the APG live recording of episode 461, pre-show. Huh? Oh, it's Nige here? Oh, look at that. Producer Liz et al. Good to be here. Confused by the message waiting for APG show, February 14th, 2019. I don't know what that message is he's talking about.
I don't
Do you
know
have any
why I
idea?
would say that.
Liz, any idea what Nige is talking about? Nige, have you been hitting the bottle again?
Yeah.
He's stuck in last week. Stuck on the weekend.
Well, you made it anyway. Yes, Nige. Hi.
Yes, excellent.
Maybe he's got the time and date set wrong in his computer. Would that do it?
He's probably got the time and date set wrong in his head.
Now, I
He
didn't
just
say
keeps
that.
saying,
Nigel.
yes. Well, we're glad that you're here, Nige. And it is the 17th of February, pretty much. I'm pretty sure. At least he is here in Atlanta, Georgia. All day
Same
today.
here.
So
Last I
just
checked,
in
still the
case
17th.
Nige doesn't stay the full distance.
Yeah, he says, I'm long in the tooth, remember?
No, now you're an elderly Jaguar pilot.
Oh, gosh. That's just not fair, Nick. Oh, man. Okay. I need to stop tapping my desk. I have a bad habit of doing that all of a sudden.
I thought it was Morse code. You were in distress.
If I knew Morse code, I could do.
Send help and beer.
Mostly
I could
beer.
do SOS. that's
Mostly
about
beer.
it.
Yeah.
Mostly beer. How do I do it? I need.
I think SOS works. That's like the
Beer.
universal distress signal. And we'll just bring beer and you figure it out on your own from there.
Exactly.
Like,
Sounds
your
I'm
ship's
starting
going
with-
down. We can't help you, but here, have some beer.
I'm starting with coffee. See, this is my mug. Nobody
Oh,
else in
very
the house
nice.
uses it. Some dude on YouTube said, "Oh, I love your stash." Is it like, what do you say? Something about the 1890s or something like that. I don't know. It was maybe not that. He was being rude about my mustache. He goes, "Do you wear tight, cut off jean shorts too?" Well, as a matter of fact, I do. No, I don't.
I want to know if
while.
you go to bed with one of those little moustache protectors so it stays nice and neat.
No.
You know, like Victorian gentlemen used to have, and they tie it
To make
around
sure
the
it like
back of their
curls
head.
at the ends, like just the right way.
I don't do anything
Yeah.
with it. I don't do anything. Sometimes, like the hairs will be going like, usually when I go into the shower, it kind of like settles down. Oh, a TSA agent, stop tapping, Jeff. A TSA agent at Houston Hobby said, "Hey, you know what you should do? You should get like one of those, get the wax and do like a big handlebar mustache. That would look good." I went, okay, maybe after I retire.
Yeah.
You could totally pull that off.
Lane, not a lame comment. That's a Lane comment. More 70s porn than 1890s. Thank you, Lane. I'll take that as a compliment.
I think that's a compliment. Not sure.
Well, it's going to be.
Okay.
Because I'm a positive person. I'm a happy guy. You're not going to bring me down, you haters.
You tell him, Jeff. You tell him.
I'm telling you, dang it. Haters. Haters going to hate.
Yeah.
Okay. We've already done a sound check. I'm already recording. Do you guys want to even attempt to record, or you want to just like blow it off? And
Yeah,
I
I'm
hit
recording.
start on mine already.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we should do then. Just let me know. You're ready to, Rick?
Yeah, give me 2, so I should have done that actually.
Okay.
Here, total recorder. And
I think we're going to be all right though, because I'm at home and I have really good internet, so we don't have to worry about it. But we'll just, for the heck of it, do the clapping thing. So, APG 4. Oh wait, I'm going to wait for Rick. Looks like his hands are
okay. Ready
full.
when you're ready.
Okay. APG 4, 6, 1 in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, that sounded fantastic.
Terrible here.
Yeah, over here it sounded like dot, 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 dot.
I heard four very distinct.
I did too. 4 distinct.
The United Kingdom is obviously the centre of the universe. All signals coalesce here. They're all
Apparently
synchronised around.
Well,
Perhaps it's
could be
Greenwich
because
Mean
we
Time.
have
Prime
GMT
Meridian,
here.
Yeah.
It must be the
that's it.
GMT
Like
influence.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Cool. Okay. Oh wait. Oh, those are old ones. Okay, Liz. Oh, I was. That's what I was going to tell you. I do. I did do the overlays for the coffee fund. Got them in the. Yeah. I managed to get that done this week. I don't think so. I think I'm. Yeah. Well, at least there were. I haven't checked since Nick has put all his overlays in there to make sure that he hasn't deleted mine.
No, yours are above mine.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Oh, you know what? I was thinking maybe you already had those. Are these new ones? When did you put these in there, Nick? They look a lot. They're pretty much like the ones last week, right?
Yeah, they're very similar because
Okay.
same subject.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There are a few new ones. Nice picture of a Mauser.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh, yes. You know, that gun, even though it fires at a quarter of the speed as the Vulcan cannon, it actually puts down more
Sorry,
weight
saying
of
something,
shot.
Nick?
What?
What were you saying, Nick? I'm sorry. I was distracted.
Yeah,
That's where we needed. Steph. Was it reference to what 16 inches?
16 inches. 16 inches, huh? Yeah.
very impressive. Very impressive.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
And
So
now I
you were
have
talking
zero
about
idea
guns or
what we're
something?
talking about. Yeah.
I was talking about that gun. No, it's all right.
Very impressive Mauser. Thanks.
It is.
for noticing.
E.
Okay. All right. I think we might be ready.
Yeah, let's get this thing started before it
completely
deteriorates
falls
further.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How do I do this again? Okay. It's not going to get any better, so I'm not going to think about it. Let's just do it. You ready, Liz? All right.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 461.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 17th of February, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a Delta passenger jet skids off a taxiway in Pittsburgh. The cargo door of a Boeing 757 freighter completely opens up after takeoff in Germany. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale, Flying the Red Flag Part 3. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 461 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins in
New York City!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based here in Atlanta, GA, and joining me today from her lakeside studio in South. I love that. Doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, commercial multi-engine instrument rated, backstabbing jumper, dumper, and white duck taco consumer, Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. They were delicious tacos yesterday. Again,
Always
long time no see. looking forward to a good show.
Yeah.
Glad we're all here. It's gonna be good.
Me too. It's going to be fun. All right. And that music, I love
That
it.
is,
From
yeah, the
Neville
extended
Bounds.
version there. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to. Well, it seems like it. Just that you didn't talk as much as you normally do, so I didn't want to cut it off.
Okay.
Just didn't.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. What's that? Oh, really? Roger Stern's in the chat. Cool. Hey, Roger. Is that what you said, Liz? Okay. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to pretend now that we're resuming. And joining us from his mobile studio in California, world traveler, airplane mechanic, Breitling cognoscenti, fitness hound, and international air freight captain, it's Miami Rick.
Hey, everybody. Happy to see everybody here today. We've got a full crew for a change. And it's going to be another great show.
That's what we're hoping for. And also joining us from his studio in the pastoral English countryside, he is a professional photographer, former RAF fighter pilot, also a retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airlines. It's Captain Nick.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jeff. Is this Washington's birthday, or have I got the wrong day?
Wrong day.
It might be.
I think
the
actually
holiday is
President's
Monday,
Day
but it's not-
Monday is Washington's birthday. I think
Well,
that's
but it's
based
always on the
Washington's.
Monday. Right?
I thought
So
the
date
17th
changes.
was actually his birthday, but I might be wrong.
It used to always
You-
be on his birthday, but then they changed it so the holiday was always on the Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't remember the actual date of his birthday anymore because.
It's the 17th.
Sure. You say so.
All right.
Thank you for knowing our history.
Well, then, so if you already
You're
knew
welcome.
the answer, why are you asking us? this
I
question?
was just alluding to the fact that you guys didn't know.
Ah.
Oh, I see. You start the show off by embarrassing all of us.
it's the
I
22nd
got
of
it.
February, so you're wrong too.
Oh.
Oh, really? Well, not what Wikipedia said.
Really?
Well, Wikipedia can't possibly be
I'm
wrong.
looking at Wikipedia right now. It says
Oh,
February
you only- really?
22nd,
Well,
1742.
the U.S. version's different.
Exactly.
All right.
We give incorrect information to the rest of the world to throw them off. Like,
Oh, I see what it, because it's always on a Monday. Then the February the 17th last year
correct.
would have been Washington's birthday. Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Well, now do we have it all out of our system?
Now that we've got that straight.
Kind of. I was just wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Well, you can do it anytime really during this week. That's fine. I'm sure
Happy
he
birthday,
appreciates it.
Mr. Washington.
But not after the 22nd.
Not after the 22nd.
Fair enough.
Well, I think this is the earliest that the show has completely fallen apart. Mark
I
this. Yes, a
don't
new
think
record.
so, but
No? Oh, maybe not.
no.
Okay, well, it's close.
I can remember a few other specific instances, but
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Have
Let's do
I
the
started
news.
all of them?
no,
Oh, good.
no.
Let's do the news.
There was one where we had giggling fits
Or-
before we could even get through the intro. So
Or we could do
anyway,
we could do the news if you
okay,
want.
let's do the news. Fine.
Okay.
Stand by for news.
Happy birthday, George Washington, in just a few days. A Delta plane skids off the taxiway at Pittsburgh International Airport. No injuries reported. This is from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And for all of you out there, yes, I do fly an airplane very similar to this one, a Boeing 717 for a sister airline. And but there, I got a lot of messages from people, kind of worried that it could have been me inside this jet, but it wasn't. Wrong airline. This is Delta. An airplane carrying nearly 80 passengers and crew slid off the taxiway at Pittsburgh International Airport on Wednesday evening last week. Airport officials said that a Delta Airlines plane, a Boeing 717, Flight 2231, was departing for Atlanta with 77 people on board when it, quote, exited a taxiway just prior to takeoff near a runway at about 6:30 p.m. And there's a picture in here of it, kind of the nose wheel hanging over the edge of the taxiway. Officials said that no injuries were reported and that buses were dispatched to help passengers exit the plane. The passengers were then shuttled to the airside terminal. Delta Airlines released the following statement while on... Oh, you want me to show that picture you're saying? No, I don't feel like showing it. Okay, I'll show it. Okay, here. Share screen. And here we go. And then boom. Except for if I do that. Okay, I'm just going to leave it like that. Can you guys see that? No.
No.
I have to hit this button right here. Yay! See it there? Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's gone for a wonder.
Yeah, that picture isn't as bad as some of these others. This one makes it look a little worse. And here's the back end of the jet.
What's that
tail
limp
cone,
thing hanging out the back?
Well, I'd
Seems
rather
like
not
a personal question.
Well, I thought I'd ask a 717 pilot because they
That
might be able to tell me.
is a non-inflated slide that comes out of the tail cone.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if it, this is one of those aftermath pictures after the passengers have already left the airplane. I did see some pictures where they had some air stairs kind of butted up to, I get it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very
Yes,
good.
I saw
Did that by accident.
that.
And up to the back end here, and sorry, and passengers were. I'm really
the
not doing
rear?
that on purpose. Yeah, the rear,
That doesn't. It's not any better. Sorry.
Aft portion of the aircraft.
aft. Yes, the anal portion of the jet, and they left via the stairs. Now I don't know if the slide was inflated, or if it was inflated and they deflated it, or what. But because it is possible to jettison the tail cone and not inflate the slide, but it has to be done a certain way. And if things are, I don't know anything about this incident, so I'm not sure if it was one of those things where they panicked and the flight attendants just opened the door, which is armed, and if you open up the back door while it's armed, it will trip the tail cone eject mechanism, and also the tail cone will pull the slide activation mechanism, and then that thing will inflate and allow egress via the tail cone exit. But there is a way to do it without, if you open the door without it armed, then you can actually jettison the tail cone without inflating the slide. So
I've got two things. First one, I wonder if the slide, the tail cone slide there, would be effective, given the deck angle at the airplane's.
Yeah, that's a good question, Rick, because I don't think it would be. Maybe it would. I'm not sure.
No.
At what angle it has to have to be
that's
effective.
The
I know
angle of
that-
dangle.
That's something. Yeah,
The
that's
angle of
something to-
dangle. Oh, show
something
title.
to
Somebody
worry
write that down. Liz, you got that?
And
angle of dangle.
And then the other one is I know from my previous airline and my current airline, and the you kind of have to be familiar with the flight attendant manuals and all that stuff when you carry passengers around. I know that it's in their manual that if if they find the airplane, or in their estimation, in a unusual position in the ground, or after a rejected takeoff, and they don't hear from the crew in 15 seconds, they're supposed to automatically begin an evacuation themselves, because the cockpit crew, the flight deck crew, might be incapacitated and unable to command that evacuation. So it's in the manuals as well. So maybe, but I
would
mean,
imagine,
again, we don't know what happened. So
and communication is very important.
Oh, absolutely.
You bring up a great point, and that's why immediately after this happened, and we're just going to have to say we're not sure what happened, because there's no officially released reason that the jet didn't make that final turn. I was just on this taxiway a couple of days before this, and on a similar airplane, and it was in similar conditions as well. And let me tell you what, when they do all the snow removal and stuff on the runways, they usually do a really good job of the runway snow removal, and making sure the friction's good and that kind of thing. But once you get off on the taxiways and the ramps, you got to be really careful. because they're usually very, very slippery. So, I mean, when I'm very deliberate. I mean, now, I think we've talked about this before, that I tend to like to taxi on the higher end of the speed scale. But in these, Liz is saying, yeah, you do. But in these conditions, I'm very, very slow and deliberate because, you're not sure what you're going to get, and you don't want to end up like. I'm not saying this is what happened here, but it kind of looks like maybe they were going a little bit too fast for the conditions and tried to make that left turn. And the runway's right there; you can see it behind it. So it's just like a little bit of a 90-degree turn from the direction this airplane's facing right now, and it looks like it just, it could have been a mechanical issue as well. So I don't know, but
yeah, you bring up a great point, Jeff. I even last night I got into St. Louis, and it was, runway was fine. I taxied off the runway, and I just kept it at a 5-knot crawl because it's you just don't know. And it's interesting because we do get up in the flight deck what are called FICONs, or field condition reports. And these are attached to the weather package that you get via ACARS, it's aircraft addressing reporting systems. Basically, a data link between you and dispatch and other areas. So you'll get these FICONs, and basically what that tells you is what the condition is, what the runway condition is. It has nothing to do with taxiways. And basically, these FICONs have what are called runway condition codes, and the landing surface is divided into thirds. So you'll get a report for the first third, second third, and the last third of the runway. And the reason why that's important is because you want to know what the overall break in action is going to be where you touch down. Obviously, the second third is where the majority of your stopping is going to happen, so you want to know what's happening there. And then obviously the last third is important as well. Now, anybody that has flown in snowy or icy conditions knows to stay away from the far end of the runway, because on that end of the runway, that's the touchdown point for the opposite runway. So you get a lot of rubber deposits and contamination. Add that to ice, and you find yourself in a very, very you could find yourself in a precarious situation. So
slip and slide.
Exactly. So you touch down and you get the airplane stopped as quickly as you can, because you want to stay away from the last third of the runway. So you'll get numbers from 1 to 5, 1 being poor break in action and 5 being good break in action. Now, as part of operating procedure, many airlines, I think most airlines, are not allowed to land when the FICON says poor break in action. At least we're not. And so that's what you get as far as information on your landing surface. But once you get off the runway, as Jeff said, you really have no idea. There's no, I have seen ATC put out NOTAMs regarding icy taxiways and stuff, but it's really nothing that's that you can call for or request and get. Aside from looking out the window and assessing the situation yourself and then taxiing accordingly, there's really nothing else you can do. So that's why you just bring it down to a crawl. And and it's happened to me where you slip and slide, and all you got to do is just kind of straighten the tiller out a little bit, kind of use differential braking, and just do the best you can as slow as you can to make it as safe as possible. So,
yep.
It's very hard to stop several tons of airplane once it's started sliding. Usually the anti-skid is no use to you because it's not going to be active at the slow taxi speeds we travel around at. And, once you've got a bit of momentum, even if you're only doing a few knots, it's almost impossible to stop. I watched one of our 340s slide off a taxiway, and it had been wet, the sun set, and they hadn't put any de-icing out, and almost, I don't think they were expecting it to get quite that cold, and the chill hit the water on the taxiways, and the next minute I watched one of our boys just gently pirouette off the end of a taxiway, doing about 3 knots. That's about the speed of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be fast.
No, not at all.
If you don't have any braking action, you're not going to stop 1 knot or 3 knots. It's going to keep moving until it.
Yeah, I think
that
that
will stop it.
that Newton fellow was onto something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
He was
Penn
lucky
Street,
there
maybe.
wasn't a ditch there. So they eventually just
Yeah.
dragged it back on. But yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, the breaking action reports that Rick was talking about, Don is asking, do you get those runway conditions for both departure and arrival airports? And yes.
Yep, you do.
The departure and arrival, well, some airports have combined departure and arrival ATIS information, but the ones that have the different, the separate ones, they always include the braking action for whether you're leaving or arriving, because it's important in both cases. And then somebody had also asked about the we have to have some kind of a tail stand, like when they were loading the airplane with bags or whatever. And no, the 717, in fact, they don't even have air stairs on the 717, and even the Mad Dog 88 and 90. They which had air stairs, they were not required to be extended for support and to keep it from tipping. In fact, they weren't really even structural at all. They were just a way for people to get on and off the airplane via the back door. But I think I've talked about this before on earlier episodes. When I used to fly the 727, that air stair assembly on the 727 was a structural thing to keep the airplane from tipping on its tail. And a lot of us who displaced from the 727 onto the Mad Dog, we'd go out to the gate and kind of start like freaking out a little bit because how come the air stairs aren't down? And then they'd look at you like, I don't know. And then somebody would give us a friendly reminder that, it's not required on this airplane. You old coot.
Yeah, we had tail
They
stand
definitely
support.
added that last part.
Yeah, we had tail stand support in the 7.4. You had to, because it had to be loaded and unloaded in a certain way. So you could either use a tail stand, or they would actually use a nose gear tie down. And basically,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
tie the nose gear
Support
down.
the back
and
or
just-
hold down the front. Either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So
737-900 had a particularly bad habit of tipping on its tail if there wasn't
you're
support.
right. They do have tail stands as well. I've seen those. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh, Neil has. Okay, thank you, Neil. All right, somebody. It's a pro. Yeah. Hey, somebody has privileges, moderator privileges. Take care of Neil. All right. No, I'm just kidding. He's gone. He's history. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Neil. All right. Anything else to say? Just, hey, be careful out there. We still have, obviously, here in the U.S., we just had a really major winter storm. So that darn Canadian air seeping down again.
And not over yet. If you're in my neck of the woods, tomorrow's supposed to be quite icy. So
Yeah, it's not over yet.
be careful out there, folks.
Yeah, so just be careful out there and just slow it down, and it'll be spring soon, right?
That's right.
What are we, the Hill Street Blues now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I like that show. That was a great show.
It was.
Okay.
You'll be careful
Moving
out
on.
there.
Be careful out there. All right, accident. DHL 757-200 at Leipzig. On the 13th of February. Leipzig, dang it. Leipzig. Cargo door opened in flight. This is from the Aviation Herald. Registration Golf Delta Hotel Kilo Zulu, performing freight flight 126 from Leipzig to Frankfurt, Maine, Germany, was in the initial climb out of Leipzig's runway 26 left when the crew stopped the climb at about 5,300 feet MSL due to the cargo door opening completely. Several parts separated from the airframe and were distributed over the ground around the, Schkopau coal power plant, located about 10 nautical miles west of Leipzig Airport. The aircraft immediately positioned to return to Leipzig landing in opposite direction to departure. The aircraft touched down on runway 8 right at 5:47 local time. About 15 minutes after departure, stopped on the runway about 1,500 meters, 4,900 feet down the runway. The aircraft remained on the runway for about 40 minutes, then was moved to the apron. The aircraft sustained substantial damage. Germany's BFU confirmed a cargo door apparently opened in flight and dispatched investigators on site. The BFU reported nobody was injured, and this is the part that I find hard to believe, really. No freight was ejected from the aircraft. But I guess if everything's in UDLs.
Well, ULD. So it's basically it basically
ULDs too.
unit load devices. So yeah, basically everything fits like it's particularly when you have a full load of ULDs there. Everything fits snugly, and everything. You have these tie down locks that keeps everything in place. So I'm actually not surprised that nothing flew out. I am.
That would make a huge noise, wouldn't it? Coming open.
I mean, I tell you, just can't imagine what that must be like.
I mean,
it's just
I
a
open
testament
doors
to
on our aircraft all the time, but not quite the same as this.
But
Yeah,
I mean, just.
We were talking about
You
this
do it on
yesterday.
purpose.
At dinner.
Now we know the
they just
cause
needed
of
to
it.
kick the right rudder to get
The
it.
pilot was jumper dumper.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what it
Well,
was.
yeah, Steph's making a good point. She thought immediately, well, all you have to do is do something with the rudder to close that door. Right, Steph?
Yeah.
Which
Full
rudder would you use in this case?
The door's at the left, so right, I think.
Yeah, right rudder would have taken care of it. Steph had been on that. Wouldn't have been a big deal at all. We wouldn't
Like
be
that.
talking about it probably.
No, the interesting thing about those doors though is that they're limited to about 60 to 65 knots open.
Yeah, not.
So it's I mean the fact that these guys will obviously below 250 because they're only 5,000 feet, and I tell you, in Germany they like their 250 on the dot. So they're at 250 knots, which is way outside the I guess operating envelope for that door. That's one thing. The other thing is just the fact that it hung on is just a testament to the modification, I guess the engineering that goes behind in the reinforcing of that area. Because you look at it, that door is structural because it's part of the fuselage, and once that's no longer there, the structural integrity of the entire fuselage is in question. And not only that, but if the door breaks off and flies aft, it can hit the vertical or horizontal stabilizer, making a bad day even worse. So it's just amazing they were able to stop their climb, come right back, and put it on the ground safely. I would have had a couple stiff scotches after that.
So would I. So we are assuming that it'd be extremely unlikely for the locking mechanism to fail, right? So what are we saying? It could have been just poorly closed, improperly closed.
I mean, I mean, obviously, you're going through 5,000 feet. You're not cabin altitude. I mean,
it's just starting to pressurize.
Just starting to pressurize. So I don't think Delta P. And yes, I said Delta P.
Ding.
I don't think Delta P is it's much of an issue at this stage of the flight. So I'm with you there, Nick. I think it was a problem with closing the door properly. Now, the 757 and 767 flight deck, exactly the same. Aside from minor differences, you have a set of annunciator lights on the overhead panel above the captain's head. And the top row of lights tell you what the condition of the cargo doors are, and you look up there, and if the cargo door says closed, it's closed. And you go to your ICAS screen, and you make sure that there's no doors indication there, and then that's fine. And then usually the FO is the one that close to the entry door, and part of his check is to make sure that the controls for the main deck door are where they're supposed to be, and then the green light's there, and if that's there, then it's fine. So. It's going to be interesting to see what the issue was here, because this certainly affects a lot of.
It's a very rare occurrence, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, very much so. I remember the last time this happened, or at least that I know of it happening, was I believe a DC-8 in Miami many years ago. Took off, and then the main deck door flew open. They did the same thing, came back around, landed with the door open. There's a famous picture of it. But as you say, Nick, this is indeed very, very rare.
I'm curious, do they use microswitches or proximity sensors on the door?
It depends. They use both. I know that most doors use microswitches. Because with proximity switch, and it also depends on the kind of operation, the kind of door, and all that. But with the fuselage expanding and contracting, a proximity switch could lose its effectiveness over time. versus a microswitch that's attached to the lock mechanism itself that only engages when it's over top dead center. So most of, at least the ones that I know of, the aircraft that we fly around use microswitches.
Okay.
So,
Pip says the door opened in flight and immediately dispatched investigators. Well, that was lucky. I don't think they were dispatched from the 757.
No.
I think you misunderstood.
they were in a ULD. They just got out.
A UDL.
A UDL.
Maybe. Yeah, that's what I prefer. It's like
UDLs and escape slides. I like it.
All right. Yeah, I looked at it and I thought, looks like to me just an extra vertical stabilizer. Gives you a lot of lateral stability.
Yep.
I'm sure that's exactly how
Kelly
it felt as they were
Kirk's
flying.
reminding us of the DC-10 problems that had door closing issues, and that was down to a faulty locking device combined with people who were closing the door and not checking that the handle was had gone all the way. That had tragic results though.
Turkish Airlines in Paris was the tragic one, and it also happened to an American Airlines DC-10. They were able to put it on the ground, but that did have tragic consequences. Yes.
I also think out of Hawaii there was I think it was United 747 that one of the cargo doors opened.
Yeah.
Lower deck level cargo doors, but they were able to bring that thing back, and I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if anybody got injured on that one or killed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. People. So
did they?
Okay.
That's a good point, Rick.
Ejected from the airplane.
You've got the two pilots, obviously, sitting at the front. Do you actually have anyone in that cargo area? Assuming that there wasn't a ULD in the way, was there any danger to the crew?
I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't. What was the question again?
Is there any extra crew members that might have been in danger when that door came open? I doubt
no.
They're probably all sitting down. Or
Yeah, because usually, well, I don't know what the configuration or what this particular conversion looks like, but in the Dash 300s that I fly around, the main cargo deck area is physically closed off from the flight deck itself, and then on the older Dash 200 conversions, you have a very, very strong net that separates what used to be the entryway to an old 767 passenger version, and you still have the access to the flight deck as you would in an old 767 airliner. So it's just basically the conversion itself was just clearing out the top of the fuselage and making it a main cargo deck. So you don't have a physical barrier between the flight, I guess the crew area and the cargo area, besides just the little flimsy door. And to go to the main deck area, if there oftentimes you carry livestock around, and you travel, you fly around with a group of vets and doctors and all that stuff. They need to go back there and check on whatever it is that we're carrying around, and to go back there, they need to take a oxygen bottle with them, a full face shield, because if anything happens back there, there is no supplemental oxygen like you have in commercial airliners. You have to carry your own, and so. But no, at this stage of the flight, everybody, and I think it was just the two pilots there. But if there had been anybody else, they would have been up in the flight deck as well, strapped in. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll find out what happened there, what kind of a mechanism failed, whether it be a mechanical issue or a human or combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pardon me? Oh, really? So you're saying we should skip this next one because it was sent in by an old curmudgeon? Okay.
We don't read those news articles.
I just hope you get your drone sound effect ready.
That was his.
Well, you're supposed to tell me that before I start the show, Nick.
Oh, was I? I thought that was the producer's job.
Oh yeah.
Ouch.
Now he's. Yeah, it's got to be Liz's fault. All right, so let me see. What happens if I hit D? Ooh. I hear it. It's kind of soft, though. Sorry. Wait a minute. Where is the volume control on this thing? Huh. Okay, I guess I'll have to do it this way. All right, next item in the news notebook is a vacuum cleaner drone. No, Yemen's Houthi rebels used drones to hit civilian jet in Saudi Arabia. And rebels in Yemen claimed responsibility for an explosive drone that set an airliner on fire on the tarmac at an airport in Saudi Arabia yesterday. The aircraft, well, that wasn't yesterday, that was a few days ago. The aircraft was parked at Abha Airport in the southwest of the country when it was hit by one of 4 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, unleashed by Houthi rebels over the border in Yemen. The group has been fighting a war against the recognized Yemeni government, which is supported by Saudi Arabia for more than 6 years. Colonel Turki al-Maliki, a Saudi military spokesman, said no one had been injured, but added, the attempt to target Abha Airport is a war crime and put civilian travelers' lives in danger. He said that 2 explosive drones had been destroyed in the air. Photographs show the passenger plane, a 3-year-old Airbus A320 owned by the low-cost carrier Flyadeal, with a neat hole in its fuselage. No one is thought to have been on board. The Houthis have hit Saudi airports frequently in the past few years, but this is the first time a passenger plane has been confirmed as set on fire. It's an ominous, your choice, indication of the increasing accuracy of the rebels' missile technology. Missile, if you prefer. Last Thursday, President Biden said he was reversing his predecessor's designation of the Houthis as a terrorist organization. Yeah. He also said he planned to end U.S. support for Saudi offensive operations in Yemen, although assistance for Saudi self-defense would continue. The Houthis, who are backed by Iran, defended the attack. Quote, the UAV Air Force targeted the airfields of warplanes at Abha International Airport, which is used for military purposes to target the Yemeni people. And they used 4 drones. The strike was accurate, thanks be to God. So, wait a minute. This is a military airplane?
Yeah, it's a new Air Force, I think. What were they? They're Flyadeal Air Force.
Flyadeal.
Low-cost Air Force. You can tell that this A320 has been equipped with all sorts of military paraphernalia. Indeed, it's got the registration FAB on it, so that's definitely very dangerous.
Yeah, very.
Is that kind of a provocative word in that?
Yeah, anyone who used to watch Thunderbirds, FAB. Yeah. So,
okay.
Was Thunderbirds a thing when you were a kid?
Yeah.
FAB.
Oh.
So.
Hey, Steph.
I was still here.
I can't take the hint.
It's okay.
The news badge is covering completely Steph's video square.
It's fine.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
I was just trying to be silly in the background, but you
know what? You could take care of it if you want.
I could, but it's fine.
Liz is gone.
It's fine. Oh, Liz is gone.
There's no idea. Here, let me see. I think I can hide that.
I don't know how to hide it.
Here we go. Boom.
There we go.
There she is.
Sorry
to
I was
interrupt.
Just trying to be silly
Nick.
while you guys were talking about this very serious
No,
incident.
not at all. I've seen a picture of something similar, and it looks like a standard sort of UAV drone you'd buy, with a little camera attached, and then they've just hung a 3 or 4 inch tube of explosive on it. I'm just a bit curious why they would try and attack that bit. You'd have thought that they landed it on the wing where all the fuel is. I'm not trying to give them ideas, you understand?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sounds like you are.
I mean,
might have been a bit more effective.
Per their quote, the strike was
taking
accurate.
notes right now.
So they
were
were
obviously
pretty
heading for the FAB insignia. They didn't like that.
Clearly, they didn't like that.
Yeah, but it is a worry when civilian airliners start being attacked by rebel groups. Although it used to happen a lot in Star Wars, I gather. The rebels used to attack civilian airliners.
True. Okay. So clearly you can see here that the Houthis are not being terrorist people at all. That's why
No,
I'm not gonna
no,
call them that
whatsoever.
anymore.
Not going there.
Okay. Yeah, nope. Nope. We don't do politics on this show. Okay, let's move on to this one then. How about? Or do we want to say anything else, Nick, about that?
No.
Okay. Item D, ASN Aircraft Aviation Safety Network. This is where this is from. Aircraft accident, an Antonov AN-12BK RF95416. I don't know what all that means. Iturup Airport. Does anybody have any idea? Iturup?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. ITU. Look it up. And,
It's in Russia.
Oh, it's near to Japan, according to Liz.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, how do you pronounce that? Well, next time when you look it up, figure out how to pronounce it, and you can tell me in my ear, and then I can sound really smart. Well, I can try anyway.
It'll take more than that.
I know, but you may. Thanks. Set myself up for that one. Russian Air Force AN-12 damage during hard landing. This is from a Breaking Aviation News and Videos, Breaking Av News Twitter account. Russian Air Force AN-12 damage during hard landing in a blizzard at this island airport in Russia. Must be like one of the, what do they call those? The Aleutian Islands in the Bering Strait and that kind of thing. Okay. No injuries are reported. And let me see if I can share this picture here. This is kind of sad, actually. Wasn't sure exactly what happened here when I was looking at the pictures initially until I read the narrative that talked about it being a hard landing. And you can see the whole left main structure has completely collapsed. And that's got to be really hard landing, because I would imagine that would be a pretty beefy kind of a, it's a military cargo airplane.
And a Russian one at that. So
yeah.
So it's
Must have been very hard.
Must have been rare, really. Oh man.
Maybe the visibility was so bad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go for there. Just imagine, I imagine it being kind of a whiteout situation where you can't really judge height and these AN-12 being a 68 model doesn't strike me as a type that would have a ground proximity warning system, altitude callouts on landing. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. But for that to happen, it must have been quite the touchdown.
Huh.
Yeah, it looks a pretty rough area. 7,000 foot of concrete, the runway, but doesn't exactly look very salubrious out there.
No, that's
looks like it's part of the Kuril Islands, like
Kuril?
just north and east of Japan.
Hokkaido, isn't that northern island, Hokkaido? And then, or that larger landmass, and then out to the northeast of it is where yeah, that's, weather out there is not very pleasant usually, most of the time of the year. Yeah.
I'm looking at the last picture with that funny looking nose cone that's sticking out there.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. Literally, what is that? Because it looks like a bomb.
Yeah, that's what happened. Somebody fired, and it just happens to be the same darn color as the airplane.
Fuselage.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I was only joking. I think it's part of the...
it came off the prop on the... Hold on.
Oh, you think so?
Go back up. Go up.
Oh, hey. Steph has nailed it.
Oh,
see
yeah.
the nose cone on the number one is gone.
That's right. It's
the propeller boss.
There we go.
Wow.
Steph's the
I
boss.
thought it was part of the gear structure. What the heck?
I was going to blame the Houthis again. Never mind.
Another explosive drone. Okay. Anything else here? Sakhalin. Sakhalin. Oh, so I see that in the picture here. It says Sakhalin.info, where the picture came from. The Sakhalin Islands. Yeah. Isn't that the chain of islands? If anybody remembers that the Korean Airline, Korean 007
the
was shot
007?
down? Yeah. I think so. That area. Okay. Well, let's move on to our last item in the news notebook. Manta DHC-6 at Malé? Is that right?
Malé.
Maldives.
In the Maldives.
Maldives.
On
the
February
Maldives,
14th, on Valentine's Day. flipped upside down during landing on floats. A Manta Air de Havilland DHC 6300 Twin Otter, registration 8 Quebec Romeo Alpha Echo, performing flight 117 from Komomalafushi to thank you, Maldives, with 6 passengers and 3 crew, landed at Malay's Water North Right runway.
They are parallel water runways.
Yeah. At 7:31, apparently. But flipped over, came to a stop, upside down. All occupants were rescued, taken to the hospital, and later discharged. 2 occupants received minor injuries. Wow, from the looks of this picture, I'm surprised that nobody had more than
I'm glad everyone
just
got
minor.
out. That's
Likewise.
I mean, you're upside
Things
down
upside
in an
down.
airplane underwater, like not a good situation.
No, you think about it.
Your
all
orientation.
The North Sea,
yeah.
all the North Sea oil rig people have to practice getting out of a helicopter rig upside down just in case they end up in this situation. This is not going to be the normal sort of thing that a holiday maker's going to be ready for, being upside down in a fuselage. And I'm just amazed no one drowned. Absolutely amazed.
Mm-hmm. And it really doesn't tell us anything.
It doesn't tell us why. I mean, the picture
No.
shows relatively calm-looking water there on a nice day, but I don't know what the. Let's see whether. Where was it?
Doesn't look
No,
especially bad.
nothing looks terrible.
140 at 30. Oh, so that's the time.
140 at 300. Holy
Wow.
crap.
I was
I'm
just
amazed they
going,
were.
that's why I stopped
090.
talking there. 8 knots, 9
9,000
knots.
feet.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
not
8 knots, 9
terribly.
knots.
No,
Yeah,
well, it looks
that's not a lot
fine.
of wind.
At least
weather.
the temperature was nice and warm.
Yeah.
29 degrees.
Very
Very
nice.
good. Like 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 28, 29. Very nice.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, here, let me play this because people are listening to the audio only podcast are wondering why I'm telling people what you're saying. So here we go.
Pardon the interruption. When we're recording the show live, the only person who can hear me is Captain Jeff. Now he's decided to include my audio here in the post-show edit. Lucky you. Enjoy.
So Liz tells us that people go to the Maldives to dive, snorkel and scuba. They just kind of they just skipped the middleman right here.
Yeah,
right?
they probably
just,
thought they were in
Direct to
their
scuba.
submarine, going gazing at the barrier, the reef, and the fishes.
I'd just like to say that that's very insensitive of you, Liz. Very insensitive. Okay. What's that? Okay. All right. Now it's time for us to move on, thank goodness, to the Getting to Know Us segment. It's that time in the show where we talk about what we have been doing in between show episode recordings. Here. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to do all this stuff at the same time, Liz. Let's see. Move over here to the intro, and we're not screen sharing anymore. Okay, very good. So, Rick, you weren't with us last episode, unfortunately. That was due to a last-minute snafu or something with...
Yeah, so I picked up a trip, and before I did it, I made sure that I'd be at the layover hotel before the show started. But in expert cargo fashion, things kind of, started running a little bit late. And so ended up making it to my hotel way after the show had ended. So it just didn't work out. But flew back home the day after, and then headed out to work day before yesterday for another lovely stint of reserve here in Ontario. And yesterday they actually they activated me, which is what's kind of interesting. Wasn't expecting it. And I took a jet from here over to St. Louis and back over here. Made it back here right after just after midnight this morning, and sitting reserve again until next Monday. So nice and quiet right now. Looking forward to just relaxing today because yesterday was a little stressful. We got to St. Louis and so we parked over at the North Cargo ramp, and I think they had a couple of new wing walkers. It's basically when you're coming into the parking bay, you have two wing walkers, one on each side, and then your marshaller who stands at the end of the line that you're going to be taxiing up. Telling you, you know, whether you're right, left of the line, keeping you on center line, telling you when to stop. And so one of the wing walkers, apparently a new guy, he was pointing at the wrong parking bay, and I'm like, and clearly he wanted me to go somewhere I couldn't because there was a bunch of stuff there and I couldn't go there, and the guy I had to say something to the rep there. I was like, you can't have somebody, and at such a critical post not knowing what the heck they're doing. One, because it's unsafe, and then two, because it was really, as we were talking earlier, it was really tricky taxiing around, and even more so. I mean, if they don't treat taxiways, I tell you, they're definitely not treating cargo ramps, and so trying to get that jet parked and fit, between two parked jets on either side, and you have ULDs all over the place, and cars and trucks and all kinds of stuff. And you have to rely on these people, and if they don't know what the heck they're doing, then what do you do? So all I did was I put the brakes on till they got their act together, and then eventually they figured it out.
So he's like telling you to go left when he really wanted you to go to the right or something like that?
Well, so basically what you're supposed to do is, like, both wing walkers are supposed to point at where your parking bay is. So what they'll do is they'll so let's say the parking bay is over here to my left, right? So they'll extend their left hand with the wand, or just their hand during the daytime, and then they'll raise their right hand pointing at where the stand is, and the guy on the opposite side will do the opposite thing, right?
Oh, okay.
So you know where to look. So the guy that was the guy that was on the left side was pointing at the right parking bay, and I'm going, well, there's nothing there, So it was just a mess. And then on top of that, you really couldn't see the parking line because it's just all snowy. So there's and icy and patchy and all kinds. So I was glad to get the heck out of there. We ended up leaving an hour and a half, well, almost 2 hours late out of there because, again, freight wasn't showing up, and because I imagine road conditions and all sorts of other stuff. But the good thing is, I did have the maintenance personnel here fuel me for the way out and the way back, because I'm like, well, watch, something's gonna happen. And they're going to screw up the fuel as well. So I talked to operations, and I figured out what the expected load for the flight from St. Louis back here was going to be. And I was like, you know what, just top me off with all the fuel I need to just come back so I don't have to deal with the fueling down there. And that ended up paying, being a good thing, because it would have delayed us even more so. But they eventually made it safe back here, and sitting here till Monday. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Excellent. And the weather is probably a little bit more pleasant in Ontario, California.
Oh, it was a beautiful day for flying last night. I tell you, it was just completely clear. We, even St. Louis was clear. It was great. I mean, I looked at the TAF for today. Yeah, you don't want to be in St. Louis today. But yesterday it was just gorgeous. Not a cloud in the sky the whole way, and flew right over Vegas. Beautiful shot of that. Came over the mountains. And landed back here right after midnight. Just a beautiful night to fly. Not even windy, nothing. Just great.
Excellent. All righty. Captain Nick, retired Virgin A330, A340 captain.
Yeah,
also,
nothing ever happens to me, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll just move on to... No, I'm just kidding.
My wife and I got our jabs, so we're now got the first part of the vaccine inoculation. I'm very pleased to have done that and recommend it to everybody. Very few side effects. We had the Pfizer, if that's any good. I don't know. little
That's the
nod
one
from
I
Steph.
had,
She
so
approves.
hopefully we're in good company there. But doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Whichever one you can get, go for it.
Exactly. And other than that, I've actually been putting my feet up a little bit because I already had today's plain tale done. And I was just really sorting out a subject and well done, Carl. just realised I'm retired. Just getting a subject for next week's, and wrote the first few lines, looking for an intro into probably a very well-known aviation personality, but not so well-known out of the United States. So I'm hoping there'll be a reasonable number of our listeners will find it intriguing. Certainly, this man lived a very colourful and exciting, in inverted commas, life.
Oh, interesting. Hey, I don't know what kind of engine you're sitting on, but I would check one of those cylinders. Looks like the number 7 might be burning some oil or something. There's just smoke, just pouring.
Yeah, I keep getting a funny whiff. I just thought I was drinking too much beer.
Or you could be skydiving, Liz says.
That's what Jennifer thought you were doing.
Oh, yeah. Jennifer in our live audience said.
And for those who are listening to this, I've just got a little video of clouds whistling by.
Yes, just making us all dizzy.
Background. Yes.
Very nice.
Yes. All right. Steph, how about yourself? What have you been up to?
Nothing. No, that's not true. Yeah.
Nothing exciting.
A really dull past 24 hours.
Especially the last 24 hours. Very, very dull. Yeah.
No, we had a repeat of 2 weeks ago? Last week. What was the other time we got together?
Week.
Last week.
Yeah.
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 It's just a week apart. Okay. It's been busy in other realms of my life. I had to keep my days straight there, but kind of a repeat. Jeff was on a similar trip, so we met up again for some more tacos at White Duck Taco Shop, and you brought your FO along with you this time.
White Duck Tacos?
White Duck Taco Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Very good gourmet tacos.
Taco Shop.
So that was really nice. It was nice to hang out with you and Brent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brent, yes, you finally got a chance to meet my favorite FO.
Quite a bit about him over the.
Unless there's another FO watching at this moment, and
you're definitely my favorite.
You're definitely my favorite.
Very nice.
Whoever you are.
Good conversation, and Jeff and I shared had a good beer, a couple of beers.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was saying Jeff actually needs to come back more often because it's only when he's in town that the weather seems to be nice. So a week ago Tuesday, it was sunny and 60 degrees, and then I didn't see the sun for 5 days. And it was cold and rainy and gross, and then he shows up yesterday. Sun's back out, relatively mild temperatures.
It's the way I do it.
Yeah. It was nice today, too, so you left that.
It's just the place the sun shines from we all worry about.
Yes, and you should, actually.
Sun's still shining today, and tomorrow's going to be gross. So that's about all
here
I got.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, we had a good time. She picked us up, went over to the taco shop, and I should probably just let you finish what else you were going to say.
I
haven't been able to go out and do any skydiving or flying or anything because of the crappy weather. Right?
Last weekend the weather was terrible. It was, I think, Saturday was like a high of 34 Fahrenheit, so like 1 degree Celsius, and just poured rain the entire day. And Sunday wasn't much better. So not nice for outdoor activities of any kind. So very happy to see the sun again. Looking forward to, I think we were saying earlier, spring is coming soon, hopefully. I'm very excited for that. Definitely ready for warmer days and nicer weather and sunshine and all that good stuff. Actually, we had thunderstorms on Saturday night. It was cold and raining and thunderstorms. Or maybe, Sunday night, I think it was. Anyway.
Or was it Sunday night?
Did I say Sunday or Saturday? Monday? I don't know.
Yeah.
One of those days. It was not great.
We had the same thing. It was really nasty. Yeah. Same kind of, the weather pattern that Steph gets in Charlotte is very similar to what we get down here in Atlanta.
Yeah, we get
just
your leftovers,
take it and send
usually.
it up your way.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, tornadoes and everything else.
Tornado out on the coast. Not great. Not great.
Yep, that time of year, when winter is trying to get pushed out of the way by spring and does not relent, and can be a lot of weather issues. We're going to have going to talk. One of our pieces of feedback involves weather. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that stuff, but it's interesting. And you're our
looked at it.
expert meteorologist.
Amateur meteorologist.
Amateur meteorologist. Yeah. Our weather girl. Yep. Anyway, yeah. So I was on a 3-day trip. It kind of fell apart, really. The first couple of legs up to Chicago and back. Chicago had the snow had just ended when we were landing up there. So it was very, very cold, but the sky was blue, but everything was covered with snow, but it wasn't too bad, except, as I said, the temperature. I think it was like minus 17 Celsius, which was like, I think 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. It was chilly. And we went up there and got out of there, came back to Atlanta. They canceled the next leg, which was supposed to be to Houston, because of that big mess of a winter weather system that hit Texas and just caused all kinds of havoc. Our airline canceled a bunch of flights, or almost all the airlines did. Everything was pretty much paralyzed in Texas. And so they said, after you come back from Chicago, go home and then come back tomorrow and fly to Charlotte. Okay.
Except they almost didn't let you go home directly from
Chicago. They almost didn't, yeah. We're rolling onto the ramp, and they go, oh, yeah, did you get your reroute message? And we went, huh? No. And they said, yeah, we need you. I don't know exactly what they said, but we interpreted it as both of us needing to go and fly to Norfolk, Virginia and back. And then you can go home. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. I want to go home. But I walked over there, and I said it exactly like that on the radio. I don't want to go. You can't make me. So we were walking over. We grabbed a really bad tasting wrap thing, chicken
like sandwich
Caesar
deal.
salad wrap that didn't have enough Caesar salad dressing on it, from one of those little kiosk things, because we knew that Norfolk wasn't going to have a good selection of food. And then we were walking over and thought, we need to use the restroom, the lavatory, before we go to the gate. And we noticed there was a first officer standing there, kind of folding up the paper flight plan. And I think that's kind of odd. Maybe it's just somebody like deadheading or commuting and just trying to help out or something. Walked over there, and he looks at me and he goes, are you the captain that's going to be flying to Norfolk with me? I went, yeah, I guess. And so it turns out it was just me for the reroute, not Brent. And so I thought, I don't want to go, especially without Brent. And then the guy looked at me like, yeah, I don't want to fly with this guy because he's crying. But he explains that the captain apparently was notified, but the captain claims that he wasn't notified or something. I don't know what the miscommunication was. But they said, but I think he's here. I've been communicating with him, via text, and I think he's already, gotten on the train, and he's about to emerge through security. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to take this opportunity away from this guy. So I called up crew tracking and said, hey, they said he's here. And the guy goes, okay, you're released. I went, yes.
Sweet.
So Brent and I went over, and then we were trying to figure out, because of the weather that we were about to receive later that night, and it was rain and just yucky. I mean, it was horrible weather here. I'm thinking I would have been flying in that back from Norfolk to Atlanta right about the time that there were thunderstorms and just raining cats and dogs here.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was Monday night. Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah, Monday, yeah. And so we were eating our really bad chicken salad, Caesar salad wraps, trying to decide whether we were going to try to get a hotel at the airport, because we were kind of concerned whether or not we were going to be able to make it back from our homes the next morning to get on the flight to fly to Charlotte. And so we kind of discussed that a little bit, and then decided we're going to go ahead and chance it. And hopefully by the time it was later in the morning, that, by the time we'd be heading to the airport, that everything would have dried up and there wouldn't be a lot of icing issues. And we were right. It wasn't bad driving back. So Anyway, then we went to Charlotte. We went to the White Duck Taco Shop, as Steph mentioned, and had a great time. And today, very early, it was like a 4:40 pickup, and 6 o'clock departure, and flew to Atlanta. We're getting vectored for the visual approach, basically, to the northernmost runway. And then all of a sudden, they say, Acme so-and-so, approach clearance canceled, fly 010 heading, maintain 3,000. And we're going like, what's going on here? I mean, it's, visual approaches and everything else. And he said, the runway 8 left is closed. And they didn't explain why. And then we're going, okay, what do we do now? And then she said, do you see 9 right? Which is, I was expecting them to maybe move us over to 8 right, which is pretty close to 8 left. 9 right's the next couple of runways over in the middle complex. And I went, yeah. And she said, okay, if you're comfortable with it, you cleared the visual approach to 9 right. I went, oh, okay. And we're looking over there, making sure there are no other airplanes lined
On
up
approach.
for that runway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't see any, and so
amazing.
we kind of fit right on in, and we didn't have enough time to hardly do anything but just look outside. I said, look, I see the pappies, and to dial up. In the old airplane, it was easy. Just go up there and you just put the new frequency in. In this airplane, you can't do that. I mean, most modern airplanes that Rick is nodding his head. Yeah, you got to go into the box and you got to put in the new runway in the box, right? Is that what you have to do with your airplane?
No, not on the
Or can you
76.
just dial it?
76 is
Oh, that's
76
right.
you
You're
dial
old
it out.
School.
Yeah, 76 is old school.
I missed
Nice.
that. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't really have time to do that, but I see the runway. It's visual conditions. I see the PAPI. We're right on the glide slope, and we configured the airplane and proceeded to land on 9 right. And but the whole system was kind of getting upset with us because it was using the glide slope from the runway that we were originally supposed to land on. It was going.
It's
glide
like
slope,
when you
slope,
deviate from like your GPS in your car, and it's like recalculating.
Recalculate.
Yes.
Recalculating.
Recalculate. That's what I should have said. Recalculating your glide slope. But we were, perfectly safe and all visual and everything else. And that's what after we got on the ground, we thought, that's the reason why you got to know how to fly an airplane manually.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if you try to fix everything in the box with both of your heads down, it's just unsafe. So,
And that's another thing. I mean, you are very, very familiar with that airport. So if they asked me to do that, I'd be like, nope.
oh yeah, I wouldn't have done it. It had not been my home airport for the last 32
Exactly.
years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you're
that's
right.
that's another very, very important.
Would have been a bad.
I'd do this. I mean, I'd probably do the same in Miami, but I wouldn't have done it anywhere else because I'm just not familiar. And
Yeah.
I'm just just give me vectors back and around, and I'll dial it in and come back in and just land safe. So I would pay
Yeah.
by the minute anyway. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we weren't on a time crunch at all. We were actually running pretty early, but yeah, we both assessed the situation and thought this is safe, and we're both comfortable with it, and they had clearance for us, and we got on the ground. So, and then we went down to Melbourne, Florida. Some thunderstorms down there. Wasn't expecting that kind of weather, but and then they turned the airport around and said we're running localizer back courses to
Fun.
runway 27 left, and then
is that
then I'm
still a
thinking,
thing?
Apparently.
well, yeah, but apparently not on the airplane that I fly because it wasn't one of the choices in our database. And okay, I don't think we're going to be able to do the localizer back course. So let's ask them if we can do the RNAV to 27 left.
Yeah.
And we got set up for that, got it all briefed, and then we're coming around, and they're saying that the ceiling's 700 feet. The minimums on this thing is 500. No problem. Coming down, but the ceiling where we were about the point at which you have to see the runway or do a miss, that was lower out there, and so we're going like in this layer. We're going, approaching minimums. You see anything? No. Oh, okay. And then right at minimums, airport in sight,
Nice.
runway in sight, and landed. And I was kind of surprised. I was expecting the RNAV to kind of be a little bit more accurate with lining up on the runway. It was not really. It was more like a VOR approach. It was not like an ILS approach.
Looking at the
Well,
airport
and that's the thing with
environments.
RNAV approaches. So you'll get straight in you'll get in straight in minimums on a VOR approach if the azimuth is within 30 degrees of your landing runway. Not the case for RNAV. You'll get straight in minimums if the azimuth is only 15 degrees. Anything outside of 15 degrees, you get circular land minimums. But yeah, usually our nav approaches are backup to localizer back horses. That's how I've flown them.
Yeah.
And so they're usually pretty dead on. So it's kind of interesting to.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You said it was 1
I
to
will
27?
say, 2-7 left. I will say that had we flown the localizer back course, it probably would have lined us up perfectly with the runway. But it's we'd have to add 50 feet to that derived decision altitude on that, and we would not have seen anything.
Yeah.
So we would have had to gone miss on that one. So it was just like, okay, there's a runway. Move over and line up with that runway and land. So after that, I thought, okay, Brent, I don't think we should fly together anymore. I don't know what's going on today, but it's not.
Well, I was just about to say I was really glad to meet Brent, and he was a nice guy, and I can see why you like flying with him so much. Too bad you're not going to be flying together anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, we decided for the safety of everybody, we shouldn't fly together. No, it's just kind of two right in a row, things that were just a little bit not normal, but worked out because we have a lot of experience, the two of us together. So anyway, so that was my interesting day, and then it was pretty much anticlimactic once we got back to Atlanta, and we get to fly again next week, Monday through Wednesday, and so I'm looking forward to that. That's it. I spent more time than I expected to there. Right after the show recording last week, I was in Philadelphia when we recorded. The next morning, we flew from Philadelphia to Atlanta, and a gentleman came on board from another airline pilot from Spirit Airlines. His name is Ron, and I'm sorry, Ron, if I mispronounce your last name, Klimoff. Klimoff? I'm not sure, because he didn't say what his last name was. And he said, hey, he pops his head in, and then he goes, Captain Jeff? I went, uh-huh. And he goes, I listen to your show and all that kind of stuff. So he was a fan of our show. And so it was kind of neat to meet Ron. And he said, hey, I'm heading down to through Atlanta, going to Tri-Cities, which is a smaller airport in the, what would that be, northeastern part of Tennessee. Really pretty area. And I'm trying to remember the Tri-Cities. Let's see, Bristol, Johnson City, and Kingsport, I think.
Yes, correct. I think
I got it right. Okay, good.
Pretty sure.
And he was going down there, had purchased a very nice Ram pickup truck, and he sent me a photo of that, all covered in, caked in snow, and he drove that up from Philadelphia. Well, he sent me this little note here. Let me read it. Hey, Jeff, thanks again for the ride from Philly to Atlanta yesterday. It was so cool meeting you. What are the chances? Sorry I didn't chat after the flight. I was trying to get to Tri-Cities, and with our de-icing delay that we had in Philadelphia, I was cutting it close. Got to the gate just in time to see the jetway pulling back. No big deal. I took the next one 3 hours later. Then I drove from Abington, Virginia to Broomall, PA, which took about 7.5 hours. The truck is awesome. See the pics. It needs to be de-iced. And then he says, enjoy some coffee on me. He sent us a coffee fund donation. And so thank you very much for that, Ron. Anyway, next time you're in Philly, let me know, he says. I know where to find cheesesteak. So, Rick, we should probably give you Ron's telephone number as well.
I'm going to need that. Because I couldn't believe I couldn't find a cheesesteak in Philly. Like,
when I was there for the show last week, there was one probably about, 6 blocks or so, but the weather was kind of chilly out there. It wasn't ideal, so I decided against walking to, I think, Jim's. Is that one of the stuff? Is that one of the...
Jim's? Yeah, Jim's is on South Street.
Steakhouse. Yeah, South Street.
That's actually my...
Fourth and South, I think.
Don't quote me on which north-south street it's on, but it's on South Street, which runs east-west.
I think, because I know that because that's what our hotel guy said. Yeah. Okay, so again, nice to meet you, Ron. It was as much a thrill for me as it was for you, and I'm glad that you got to Tri-Cities and picked up your truck and got home safely. And I look forward to meeting up with you again next time, or one of these times I'm in Philly. Okay. That is a great segue into the coffee fund. You are right, Liz. So without further ado, let me hit this thing here that says coffee fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
All right, the Coffee Fund, your way to support the show financially, if you have the financial resources to do that. And a couple of different ways to do that on APG. First is the classic method via PayPal, where you can make a one-time or recurring donation. And since the last episode, Ron, we were just talking about him, Klamath, Mazutz Karim, Nigel Demery, who's with us in the live audience, and Jenny Parkinson over in Rome. So thank you, all of you, for donating to the Coffee Fund Classic, or the Coffee Fund. And the other thing that we have here is Patreon. And we have three new executive producers. Darren Nolan, George Putock, and Seal Beach Mark. What'd you say? I have to be careful about the way I say that, yes. And Seal Beach Mark. And we have some feedback from him as well. So thank you all of you new producers and to Patreon. We do appreciate that. If you want to learn more about the Coffee Fund, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. We will too.
Captain, incoming message.
Captain Nick is still in the dark.
I love it. It's just like you could set your
Is that a
watch to
change
it.
from normal?
You feel better now? You feeling all right?
Yes, thank you. That was fine. You need to make that just a little bit longer.
That's what she said, yes. That was Liz's suggestion.
Very nice.
Very good.
So I know that Nick doesn't need to excuse himself since he has already done that. Anybody need to take a break before
I'm
we
gonna get a
continue
cup of
with the
coffee
feedback?
and
I'm just gonna grab another beverage. I should probably have done that
Okay,
already. But
I'm gonna.
What have you been doing?
grab.
Wasting your... Oh, God.
I was listening
Well,
to
I
the
can't
Coffee
do that.
Fund.
Did you
We always
mention
do
Who are-
that.
Did you mention
Integral part of the
Captain
show.
Nige?
He did,
Okay.
and Jenny
Yeah, we
Rome,
mentioned
and
Nige.
two other people
Good,
whose
good,
names now
just
I can no
checking.
longer recall. But we thank you.
Well, we can put those things back up so we can get Nick all caught up to speed on that.
No, that's all right.
Right?
Never mind.
No?
That's all right.
Here we go.
Just
No, we're going to do it
checking on
now.
my
Here we go. There, see?
Oh,
Ron
there he
and
is.
Mazutz and
That's
Nige
right. Yep.
and Jenny. And then we got these new producers, Darren and George and Seal Beach Mark.
Excellent.
George
All right.
Puttock. What a lovely name.
Yes. All right. And then while we get our beers and take a physiological break, we can read all about the 1 million pound men. Look at this guy here.
Who was that guy?
Who is?
I don't know. I
It
don't
looks
recognize him.
looks like a Russian pilot to me.
He's not going
Looks-
very fast.
Huh?
What's he wearing his helmet for?
That's you, right? That's,
Yeah,
oh wait, it
that's
says
me.
It's someone with
Flight
his name
Lieutenant
anyway.
Nick Anderson, 26 years old, has been
26.
something.
Look like
I
you're like
haven't
16.
seen. Flying squadron. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, hence my squadron nickname, the boy pilot.
The boy pilot. They look so incredibly young. These men of 43 Squadron, sitting in their ready room, joking, laughing, dressed for flying in survival suits and corsets to resist the forces
Corsets,
of Tigra.
yeah,
That's a very nice corset you're wearing.
Yeah, exactly
And high heel
right.
shoes too.
Yeah. Yeah. A nice basque.
Anyway, great picture, Nick. Hard to believe you were actually that young at some point.
Trying to remember
Okay,
where that came
I'll be
from.
right back.
Oh, I know. It was a mate of mine, yes. Bill Alexander, a navigator, sent me that. Just a navigator.
Just a navigator.
What is Jeff doing?
I don't know.
Is he...
I'm just
Is
pouring
it-
beverages here.
Oh, I thought a spider had gone down your back.
Well, looks a little more serious than that.
I don't
Being
know.
attacked by his headphones.
Oh, he's off.
Still
That's
difficult.
it. He's having a
Hi,
hissy
Jeff.
fit and he's gone.
Yeah, he's done. I used to I should not mention any names, but there was one doctor I worked with when I was still doing training who, if things weren't going quite right, that was difficult to say there, he'd just leave and go to his office for a while and not come back until he'd like cooled down a little bit. Just in the middle of clinic. Full.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exam rooms all full. People waiting on him. Nope, just I'll be back.
I'll be back. Well, I suppose it's better.
I guess it's better than
that.
having a temper tantrum in the middle of the hallway.
Exactly right. Yes.
Although it was usually preceded by a temper tantrum in the middle of the hallway.
Yeah, that's right. That's a bit late. It's supposed to go before you get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a lovely hotel there somewhere, Nick. What is going on there? Guest room?
Yeah, I've just checked in. I had a very nice flight over, thank you, and I've just checked in.
Good, very good.
There were just too many complaints from the those with
You were making
getting
people
visual
dizzy.
disturbances.
Setting off some vertigo there. Everyone's like,
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like when you're standing outside and, nice day and there's some clouds overhead, but they're moving just quick enough and you stand there with your feet on the ground, firmly rooted, and you look up like this and then you go, whoa, like you're falling backwards.
Yep. It's like when you're sitting on a train and the train next door to you starts moving out of the station.
And you think you're going backwards?
Yeah, it was good. Well, it was exactly the same when sometimes they moved the jetway up to the airplane. Because we'd stop, they'd put the jetway on the two-door, way behind us.
Right.
And then, after a little while, they'd bring a jetway onto the one door. And as that jetway moved past you, because you're looking down at doing your pay, in your peripheral vision.
Slam the brakes on.
Absolutely. Oh, my God, we're rolling.
You okay there, Captain? Yeah.
Yep. All good. Just fine.
I meant to do that.
Fine now, yes.
Oh, that used to happen to me all the time. That particular visual illusion all the time as a kid, because we had toll roads in Illinois, so you had to actually stop and pay money, so there would frequently be lines of traffic and you'd be parked next to a semi truck or something large and it would start moving before you moved and you'd just feel like, whoa, go backwards.
Yeah, there's got to be a name for that illusion. I don't know what it is myself, but
ooh, look at that.
Well, he's got a very nice trend. That beer looks a little bit
it's that
on
green
the light
color
side.
on the can.
Yeah, it's a different looking can than normal, isn't it? Especially like that.
It's very sexy, actually. A glass can. I love the way you can still see bits of it through.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a very light beer.
It is. Absolutely.
Not really. All right. Okie doke. Let me get over here to the feedback notebook. And are we all ready to resume the show?
Ready to go.
Ready? Ready in the control room? Okay. All right, let's start with some feedback from Robert. He actually sent us a couple of pieces of feedback. He said, let's see, PIA, Pakistan International Airlines, I believe, will confiscate crew passports on layovers after flight attendants repeatedly go, quote, missing. And also, who and what is linear air taxi? So let's start off with the first one. Hi, crews. I suspect y'all haven't had a desire to stay in a destination country on a layover. I mean, really stay in the destination
Like not
country.
go back for your return flight?
Stay forever.
Permanent.
Yeah. But thought I would at least ask. And then he sends us a link to a blog, 1mileatatime.com. And let's see, the article or the blog says that Pakistan International Airlines will start confiscating crew passports during layovers after a flight attendant went missing in Toronto again. Now,
It's
Liz,
all
do you have
Liz's
anything
fault.
to do with this? Yeah. What about that new roommate that you were telling us about that's been staying with you since? Poppy. We just thought that was your new puppy, but
Poppy.
I
Very
see.
clever.
Something
Mm-hmm.
entirely different. So over the weekend, a PIA flight attendant went missing in Toronto. Flight 798 operated from Lahore to Toronto. and the crew had a layover there. Everything seemed fine until the crew was supposed to work the flight back to Pakistan, at which point one of the flight attendants didn't show up. The airline has launched an inquiry into the situation and has also reported this to Canadian immigration authorities. This is the second time in about 6 months that a crew member didn't show up for the return flight out of Toronto. I mean, it's such a lovely place.
Who would have
in July?
I know.
2020.
In July.
Why would you want to leave?
I know. That's what she was thinking, apparently. I don't know. The Hotel California. Yes, you can never leave. In July 2020, a PIA flight attendant also went missing, again in quotes, during a layover in Toronto. And in the previous incident, the flight attendant had informed the airline he would be going to another city, and at that point, he became unreachable. Even the incident last July wasn't the first time this had happened during a layover in Toronto. Those Canadians. So now they're going to hold on to the crew passports. So I guess they confiscate them. And that's not the
So they're
only
going to take
airline
their
that does
ID.
that, right?
So, interesting.
Yeah, so you'll definitely not be able to
How
leave the
does
country.
that stop
So
them going missing?
Yeah, it
Perfect.
does really.
I mean, if you're
If you don't plan to go back, do you need your original passport anymore?
no, you don't need your passport
if you're going
anymore.
to claim
You're
asylum
staying.
or something.
Well thought
Well,
out.
maybe
well
they haven't thought this through then.
I don't think they have. I think we could have. I mean, they didn't consult us for how to
No,
fix this problem.
Clearly.
We would have charged a very reasonable fee for consultation on this matter.
Yeah.
Just remember that next time, PIA, or any other airline out there with this issue or problem. Anyway, so Robert, by the way, I keep saying he lives north of the Big Chicken, but apparently he said south of the Big Chicken. Thank you very much. So sorry about that, Robert. In Mayretta, Georgia. He said, let's say, I suppose some links that some airlines like Emirates put their crew up in a dormitory-like living arrangement could look a bit different in a COVID world, but wondered if you or any co-workers had encountered anything like this before. Oh, I guess that's another link to airlines.
Well, I nearly went missing, and that's all to do with Captain Nige, who's in the chat room, because I had a two-nighter in Hong Kong, and he said, instead of just popping up for a beer when you get in town, why don't we jump a flight and go to Bangkok? So,
could you
is that
pronounce that differently, please?
I don't think you can. I think you have to say Bangkok if you're going to Bangkok.
Okay.
So I arrived at the airport and said goodbye to the crew, and we jumped on a flight, went to Bangkok.
Yeah.
Spent a night in Bangkok, which was great. Didn't sleep a lot, drank a lot, watched some shows. It was all very educational. And
that was just like my time over in Charlotte yesterday.
Educational.
Absolutely. The only problem was getting home, because all of a sudden he said, it's looking a bit tight. We may not get seats. And I'm saying, well, actually, I need to be back.
I have to have a seat.
Yes, I have to get on my flight. Anyway, we got back eventually on cabin crew seats. And their cabin crew they're actually... I think during takeoff and landing they're okay, but if I'm not mistaken, Nige might remember, during the cruise, these seats have to be folded up out the way, and all you can do is perch on a little ledge that sticks out of the top of the seat, which you kind of just like rest your base. So basically, you're half standing for the entire flight, but it was not a very long flight, so there you go. Got back in time to get to the hotel, change back into my uniform, pick up my allowances, helped cover the cost of the weekend, and get on my flight home. So can't say I was.
I take it wasn't your leg bag, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Hope not.
I was a.
Do you mind if I just sleep for a little while?
I was a cruise first officer on the way home, so that's.
Yeah, completely worthless, basically.
Excellent.
Yeah, but having said that,
to cruise first officers out there, the email is jeff@airline.
No. I did not mean to imply that cruise first officers were completely. I was just.
Or I'm offended.
Or I'm offended.
Yeah, I'm offended
Absolutely.
at airlinepilotguy.com. Go ahead.
Essentially
Bring it on.
worthless, I think, was his quote just now.
Well, wait a
But
minute.
we
You
got
can
that.
rewind
Just
about
talk about
30
his
seconds.
flight.
You can rewind about 30 seconds and listen to that again if you'd like.
I know. I'm
But
going to shut up.
I don't see the problem with as long as you're in touch with what's going on, you check in, make sure everything's okay. You can disappear off for a while.
Mm-hmm. That's always kind of a dangerous thing, though.
As long as you I guess it just gets trickier if you're going to be flying to a different country on your layover.
Yeah.
In terms
That
of
seems
ensuring
like
that you're going
kind
to
of
make
poor
it
judgment to
back
me.
for your.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I mean, I would,
well,
I
for
would,
pushing the
I used to
boundaries
do
a little bit. But.
I'm with you there, Nick. I used to do stuff like that all the time, and it was particularly nice when you knew that the airplane you were taking back wasn't coming back. And I remember we used to do a flight, and we'd end up in Tahiti, so we'd go Santiago, Easter Island, and then on to Tahiti, and it was the one flight, and you were out there for a week, and the airplane wasn't coming back in a week, so you had the flexibility to go and do anything you wanted in that period of time, and then obviously go through the recovery process because there was you needed to get back to a flying condition, but you knew you had the time to do it, so. I used to do that all the time, Nick. So I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, if you have the time, absolutely do it.
You got the time? We've got the beer.
Yeah,
High Life beer. Miller, yeah. Okay, well, there's another article about a day in the life of an Emirates flight attendant. If you want to check that out, we'll put that in the show notes. And then he also sent in this other piece of feedback. Howdy crew, not sure if I sent this your way and had a few minutes to write up the attach. So here y'all go. And this was from medium.com, and it was written and authored, which is the same thing, really, when you think about it. Robert from Mayretta, south of the Big Chicken. And so the title, What is Linear Air Taxi? A curious result came up recently. He was researching flights recently. Linear Air, a regional flight from Atlanta, Georgia to Greensboro, North Carolina, is served nonstop by smaller affiliated carriers of Delta Airlines or like Republic Airways. These round-trip fares can be found as low as $133 round trip, depending on when you travel and how far in advance you book. And so he has a little screenshot of, a search for Atlanta to Greensboro, North Carolina. This flight's operated by Republic Airways for Delta. And then he said, but curiously, there was an option showing for Linear Air. So I did some digging to find that this is not actually a scheduled flight, but as the representative told me, quote, an example of what Linear can fly, starting at $6,828 for the whole plane. Also note that the flight is operated from the corporate flights facility at the Atlanta airport, not a typical gate one would fly out of after checking a bag and clearing security. Yeah, that would be a little bit more complicated, I guess, if you flew like mainline airline kind of thing into Atlanta International, and then you had to figure out a way to get over to the corporate flight facility, and first you got to go get your bag and everything else. But let me see, share my screen here so you can see some of the airplanes that this company uses for these types of flights. And at first I was telling Steph, we were talking about this.
Yeah, we did talk about this one.
That it kind of felt like that that whole issue that the FAA has said, no, you can't do, like flight sharing kind of thing. But this is completely different. This is actually commercial air taxi operation, and with commercial pilots and that kind of thing. And so that's $6,828.
For the low price of $8,799, you can fly in a Cirrus from Atlanta to Greensboro.
Because that's the hourly rate on the darn thing, right, Steph? Or it seems that way.
I don't know what the rate is for that. Well, up to 3 travelers, so you can split that with you.
No, but I mean, if you went out and rented a Cirrus, it's like $500 an hour or something, isn't it, for you to rent it?
It would not cost me $8,799 to fly round trip between Greensboro and Atlanta if I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
In a Cirrus.
Well, got to make some money.
I mean, it's going to be more expensive than in a, 172 or something, but. I'm just surprised at the costs here. That's all.
Well,
yeah,
they quote a 172 as being one of their air taxi models. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly salubrious.
No. Robert says, is this deceiving? Maybe. It was at least interesting to me because it was the first time I'd ever seen pure charter flights listed in a reservation system like this that actually were not scheduled flights. And then there's a thing on here about, I think this was clipped from the Linear Air site. Is air travel or air taxi travel safe? And what are your pilot, aircraft, and safety standards? It goes into all that on this. And then it has another little section here. The air taxi at the low end could be a Piper Cherokee, Cessna 172, or a Mooney M20. And then you get up to the premium air taxi, the Cirrus SR22, and then mid-size Piper Cherokee 6, Cessna 206, a Beechcraft Baron, a large air taxi, Piper Navajo, Cessna 402, Piper Chieftain, Beechcraft Queen Air. Now, they haven't made a Queen Air in... They don't make Queen Airs anymore, do they? They stopped doing that a long time ago.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Anyway.
100% certain. Anyway.
Executive Air Taxi, Pilatus, Cessna Caravan. Hey, Stephana's, she's all checked out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Beechcraft King Air. And then a personal jet, Eclipse, Embraer Phenom, Citation Mustang, light jet, Citation CJ Phenom 300, mid-size jet, a Hawker 800, Citation XL, Falcon 50, Learjet 60, and then the big boys, Gulfstream 5, Challenger 604, Falcon 2000s. So, yeah, interesting that I don't know how they ended up getting their flights listed on the reservation system, though. That's
I don't know, but for the price of the Cirrus, I wonder if they charge you what the cost of the G5 would be. The actual airplane. Go out and go and buy your own.
Yeah, that would be awfully expensive, right?
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Thank you, Robert, for authoring
Interesting
the article.
concept. I'm not so sure about their price point, who they're
yeah.
marketing to.
Yeah, it looks a trifle pricey to me.
Mm-hmm.
A trifle, yes. All right. Very good. And we can move on to the second item in the feedback. Ricardo says, Dear Captain Jeff and crew, this is Ricardo Pina. Or Pina?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I should ask Rick. Is that the way you'd pronounce that?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right on, actually.
Your interpreter translator friend. And, oh, yeah, that's right. A long time no hear from you, Ricardo. Long-time listener in Mexico. It's been a while since I've sent feedback. Sorry about that. But rest assured that my APG syndrome is alive and kicking. Oh, sorry.
Sounds painful.
Hope this message finds you all well. I was very glad to hear
Is that a new symptom, kicking?
It could be. Was that part of stage 4?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to consult the manual on that one.
Okay.
The textbooks.
We'll have to consult our new doctor of go-around and so on and APG syndrome.
Yes.
Let's see. I was very glad to hear that you have successfully recovered from your bout with COVID-19, this one scary bug. In recent episodes, you've talked about radio-controlled aircraft like the glider that recently set a speed record. Radio-controlled modeling just keeps getting better and better. I wish I had the means to pursue it as a hobby, but alas, at the higher and more desirable levels, it's a rich person's hobby well beyond my reach. Nevertheless, I find it really exciting when I come across models like the ones featured in the following videos. Oh, family show. Oh, no, aircraft models. Okay. I have a feeling you and the crew will agree they are beyond amazing. The first one is an L-1011. I share your love for this wonderful jetliner, and I found this particular model just incredible. And then he sent us a link to a YouTube video. And this one, I don't know if you guys have got a chance to watch this one or not, but it's amazing the level of detail on... let me see what happens if I hit this and play it. Oh, it does play. Neat. Can you hear the volume on this too? Or the...
No.
No? Okay. It's just like explosion noises. So I'm going to turn it off. Anyway, so look, he's got a little tug. What happened? Stop playing. Well, excuse me. What would you call that? A towing vehicle, tractor.
Yep.
And look at how big this 1011 is.
It's a pretty fancy one. It's a tow barless one.
Yeah, it's like the ones that pick up the nose wheel, like the modern...
The Super Tugs.
Yeah, Super Tug. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's coming up to the L-1011 nose gear and snatches that nose gear up into It's a place where the nose gear gets put.
Very, very technical. Very technical stuff.
Well, I was afraid that if I used any other terms that they could have some innuendo, and I wouldn't hear the end of it. So, anyway, look at that beautiful picture there. Doesn't that look like a real airplane there with the sun
really
setting
does.
behind?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. And then the thing goes and flies. It's just
Detail's incredible.
amazing. So we'll put a link into that. He said, I love helicopter too, despite the widespread opinion that they do not actually fly, but simply beat the air into submission.
No, they're so ugly. Earth repels them.
Okay. I really like this amazing Llama RC model. And it's the world's biggest RC turbine scale
it's
model.
vast. I mean, if you're going to build a model that big, why don't you just build a real helicopter?
I mean, you could put my dogs could fit into it. I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Did you notice that as it flies, the dummy pilot in there, the controls actually move, so it looks like he's actually flying it?
So, Nick, just because he's a helicopter pilot is no reason to denigrate him by calling him a dummy pilot. Sorry.
Well, I usually reserve that for balloon pilots, but
No.
I think I can extend it into helicopters without any concern at all.
I did not watch this helicopter one, so I didn't see the dummy pilot moving.
Yeah. So as he flies around, his arms and feet and things, he moves the collective and the cyclic. So all very impressive.
Well, let's see if we can find that part of the. Okay, I don't know. Do you know where? You remember where it was in the?
In the middle.
In the middle. Okay.
Seriously, I don't know. It's a close up of the cockpit. So.
Okay. Well, hey. We have a link there in the show notes for you all to check it out. So just look for it somewhere between the beginning and the end.
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Well done.
Okay. And finally, I suspect these other models will be a bit more in the old pilot's wheelhouse. These guys at the ASC Rusjet Air Modeling Sport Club have won, or Rusjet, have won several well-deserved world championships with their creations.
I suspect it's Rusjet because they're Russian airplanes.
Russian? Oh, okay, Rusjet. The level of accuracy
quite fast anyway.
And detail left me speechless. Simply stunning. And
well, it's the first time I'd seen a video of radio control models actually in a formation team. Putting smoke out the whole 9 yards. And I mean, they're not like wingtip to wingtip, but they're still pretty impressive.
So like Thunderbirds.
Yeah. Only smaller.
Well, Tweety birds.
Just kidding, Air Force. Just kidding.
That's Rick at Airline Pilot Guy.
I'm with you, Rick.
Or just, you know what, Felix, don't waste your time. Just don't send anything, okay? We understand. We're offensive. We understand. Anyway, Ricardo says, I hope you enjoy these as much as I did. It's a privilege to be part of the APG community, and I promise to keep more in touch in the future. Clear skies and visibility. Cheers. Health Unlimited. From Ricardo Pina.
Like that one.
Thank you. Well, good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you're still listening and part of our community. And if you all want to check out those videos in the show notes. All right. So here, I'll stop sharing. There we go. So Peter writes in. You'll remember Papa Tango.
Oh, yes.
From the last episode or the couple of episodes ago. Yeah. It was lovely hearing you all this morning as I drove to meet friends for Sunday morning breakfast. I chuckled a bit as you I chuckled a bit.
You wanted to let us know that he was not chuckling a lot, just
no, yeah,
a tiny
just a run of chuckling,
a bit. Yeah. As you discussed the real names of my children, Dr. Steph guessed Sean correctly.
Woohoo!
But my daughter's name, Amelia, was missed. What do we say, Anne or something like that?
I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
I'm sure you would have gotten it without too much trouble, given more time. Yeah, you darn right we would. When I first started listening to OB, we like to call it, that's opposing bases, I acquired the moniker of Papa Tango, kind of like the sound of it. For purposes of APG, I will go by Peter Tango, unless you all want to take guesses at my last name.
I think we should take guesses.
Oh, you okay? I'm going to guess Peter Thomas.
Tarantula.
Ooh.
Tarantula. Yeah.
Peter Tarantula.
Toronto.
Tarantino.
I'll go with
Tarantino.
I'll go with Nick here. Yeah, I like that one best.
Liz says Peter Toronto.
Mm.
I see. See what
Peter
you're doing there.
Limoncelli. Oh no, it has to be with a T.
Sorry.
Well, give us some time, Peter.
Nick doesn't remember the alphabet anymore. It's fine.
Anyway, Peter Tango says, looking forward to the next episode. So I guess, are we going to let this slide kind of being like half and half?
No.
I guess
No.
we can make a concession on. Yeah, I'm okay with
I
that.
don't think so. No.
No?
Well, nope. He's just gonna be
Nick's being
Peter
a hard
Tarantula.
And it's done, settled.
There you go.
Just decided.
There it is. Thank you,
Actually,
Peter Tarantula.
you didn't have. We had a drink in the UK called Tango, and they had a series of adverts where some bloke dressed up like a big orange would come along and slap people around the face, saying "You've been tangoed."
Wow.
Sounds kind of violent.
And as soon as I saw Peter Tango, that's all I could think of.
So Peter, watch out if you meet us in person. We're
In the
going to
UK
slap
especially.
you about the face. And
Yeah,
tango.
and say you've been tangoed.
You've been tangoed, man.
Lane, we shall not be discussing the 7110. It's not going to happen.
The what? What are we not discussing?
Never mind.
Okay.
It's like the Kool-Aid man hitting you in the face.
Oh yeah!
Getting knocked outside the face.
Just come crashing through the wall first.
You get the crap kicked out of you. All right, I'm leaving now. Oh man, that was
The
funny.
APG
Good stuff.
community, lots of great people, but it's a tough crowd. It's a tough place to hang out. So watch
It's
out.
rough. It's rough.
All right.
Got to be able to
Magnus,
stand up for yourself.
go ahead. What'd you say?
I was going to say you have to be able to stand up for yourself around here.
Yes, you do. You must. Exploring an abandoned British Airways flight training facility. Hello, APG crew. Thanks for the great podcast. Keeping me happy in these COVID times. I stumbled onto this YouTube video with a couple of blokes exploring an abandoned British Airways flight training facility. And he gives us a link. And it really, it's kind of scary looking.
It's always kind of sad and creepy, like these
sad,
abandoned
yeah.
like facilities.
It could
for
easily
various-
be part of Chernobyl, couldn't it? That's how deserted it looked.
Actually,
Like
one of my
time
favorite
stand still. Yeah.
like photos that I have, so nothing to do with aviation, but similar theme here. It's just a print of an indoor swimming pool that's been abandoned, and just the lighting is very interesting, and it's, but same kind of vibe going on, kind of creepy and sad. At the
So
same time.
Crane Bank, this place, used to be the heart of British Airways training. I mean, it really was, and it goes back a long time. I think back to BOAC days. So they did, huge generations of pilots and cabin crew went through Crane Bank and did all their training there. And now, of course, this video just shows it as it's like something out of Tomb Raiders, it's just appalling. I can't say I'm too keen with these two blokes because, they're effectively trespassing on the site. I don't think they've got permission to go on there. They've had to wade through a down river to get there, and they're not exactly breaking in, but they're certainly going somewhere where, they're not supposed to be. So I can't altogether agree with them being there, but it is fascinating to see them walking around. They've got all the rigs there that the cabin crew would have done all their training on, and they've even got a simulator there. All the classrooms in those days before computer-based training, when people actually used to sit down and be taught by an instructor. It's a big facility, but they've just the roof's all leaking. The place is half flooded, and there's moss and green stuff growing everywhere. It's just a shame
I don't
to
want
see
to
that.
spend a lot of time in there with all the mold and stuff.
No, it's all the floors giving way and half it's been ripped up. But, it was interesting to see that they've allowed it to get like this. It can't be good for their profile, really.
Nope.
Is that a Hooters menu?
Yeah, it is. I just happened to end the video on a Hooters menu. You don't have a lot of those in the UK, do you?
No.
Hooters restaurants?
None.
Must have been from a layover.
I guess so.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have a link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out and be creeped out by looking at it all. Magnus says, question, why didn't they sell the 737-400 simulator? Is it more money in stripping the parts out? I don't know.
No idea. They're not cheap. So
No.
you'd have thought there'd be a lot of value for it.
Yeah.
Or at least some
Yeah.
value. I mean,
Looks like a lot of the stuff in there looks like it could be of some value, and it's just sitting there, just going to waste.
Yep.
Sad. All right. We didn't. Jen, I didn't see any stair trucks hiding in there. So, but you'll have to watch the whole thing. Maybe there are some. Okay. Marius sends some feedback about Virgin Atlantic and himself. He said, Virgin Atlantic opening a new cargo-only route to Norway, and a bit about myself. Greetings, APG crew. Long-time listener here. Well, for the last 3 years at least, but first time submitting a feedback. Came across this article written by Virgin Atlantic about their first flight on a new cargo-only route to Evans? How do you pronounce that? Do you know, Nick? Evenes?
No, I'm not Norwegian,
Norway?
I'm afraid. So I
I knew that. Well, your last name's Anderson. Why don't you know how to pronounce that?
Good
My last name's
point.
Nielsen. I should probably
I was
say
just
Nick.
going to say, I was like,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah,
Nielsen. Nielsen, Anderson.
But Anderson, I think
Consensus.
that's more of a Norwegian name, right?
Swedish,
So-
actually.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Different country. Can't help you.
Yeah, okay. Operated by the Boeing 787-9 and flying fresh fish out of there. Maybe Nick is familiar with the airport, as I believe he has been to Norway in his RAF career.
Yeah, I only went to decent airports like Gardermoen. Gardermoen. I can't even say it properly. Gardermoen in Oslo. But we
Gardermoen,
call it
like-
Gardermoen.
Like the little guy in the
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the,
Well, we're Air
commercial
Force guys,
TripAdvisor
so
or something.
we found it hard pronouncing it properly, so we called it Gardermoen.
Sounds good. Oh, here we go. Okay,
Avenus?
Steph, go ahead.
Doesn't help me at all.
Avenus?
That didn't help at all. What do you say when it's an A
It
and E
depends on how
together? I
you
don't know.
pronounce your vowels there.
Avenus.
Avenus?
Avenus.
Avenus? Avenus?
Okay, sure.
That didn't help us,
Nailed it.
Vetland
Nailed it.
11.
But thanks for the effort.
Yeah.
It's in North Norway. Okay. I've been to Bardufoss once, landed there, and
That's pretty
while
cold.
we went
isn't
in
it?
there.
That's
It's
another
way
good
up
reason
there.
for not going there.
Yeah, very, very cold. Way up north. Yeah. But and pretty much just covered in snow and ice. Okay, so he gives us a link to the article from the Virgin Atlantic blog and flying fresh fish from the fjords.
Yeah,
Since this
I
is-
was a little confused by this.
Yeah.
It's not like Virgin have got any cargo aircraft or dedicated cargo aircraft, but they're effectively flying an empty passenger jet up there to pick up a bunch of fish.
I need to be on the flight
mean-
after that flight.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, admittedly, Boeings don't have the nicest smell anyway. So,
Oh,
Jeez.
I'm only
Nice.
joking. Only joking. Joking. So it wouldn't have made a lot of difference. That's why they probably put the 7.8 on it. But
oh gosh.
yeah, but I mean, and we do. I must admit, on my regular flights into the States, we were always carrying salmon in particular. Often Scottish salmon, but cargo's full of salmon out to the States. I mean, don't you guys don't have the same breed of salmon that we do you?
We just like
You
salmon.
have sockeye,
Yeah.
other strange salmon.
No, yeah, well, and they put it on a 70 because that's kind of temperature sensitive cargo, and you want to make sure that it gets there the first try. Just you don't want the airplane breaking down on its way back down to wherever it has to go. So I just
No,
one
that
straight
would
shot.
be a
so.
disaster. Yes, I can
Nigel
understand
does
that.
explain how they do this operation without having that horrible smell throughout the airplane. They leave they open the door for fresh air.
Oh,
They
yeah,
open, I guess,
that's
the
right.
whole plane.
Just like our news article.
That's
yeah.
that's what DHL were doing.
That's what they were.
Exactly.
They were experimenting with it.
Yeah, they were just saying.
New design.
We've got some fish on. Let's open the doors.
Fine fresh fish from the fantastic fjords. nuts.
No, but I used to fly salmon up from Chile up to Miami all the time. The entire 747 was about 120 tons worth of salmon, and
wow,
no issue at all. I mean, it's all in. I don't know if it's fresh, but I don't know how they keep it cold somehow. It's fresh. I don't know how they did it, but it's no smell at all. No smell at all. Can't say the same for flying pigs or horses around, but salmon, no problem. Oh man,
I don't envy you that.
Jeez.
Although even in the passenger world, we occasionally fly those. Mainly pigs, not many horses.
That would be Nick at airlineguy.com.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to resume the feedback here.
Please.
And I apologize. We apologize, Marius, for completely butchering your really, really nicely constructed feedback with this.
It's his first feedback too.
I know it last. Since
you haven't introduced him. He's got a whole bit about himself.
I'm about to do that right now. Here we go.
You? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Since this is my first feedback and probably my last, I might as well start off by introducing myself. I was bitten by the aviation bug at a young age after my mom refused me to go to a maritime school, so flying became the alternative, although she might agree it became a bit more expensive. I received my private while still in high school. And after military service and a couple of years working, I traveled to Florida for the rest of my ratings and then back to Norway to convert my license. After quite a few years of waiting, I started working for a regional airline in Norway, flying the mighty Dash 8 100/200/300 series. We can call the airline Acme Green, although the real name is revealed at the end of this feedback. I must also thank you all for getting me this job, because after listening to my first episode of APG in January 2018, I received an email from the airline inviting me to pre-employment tests and later an interview. I was successful and have been working for them since September 2018. Since a great part of the flying we do is into more remote parts of Norway subsidized by the government, we haven't been hit as hard by this nasty little bug as others. A little fun fact, during a short time last year, we were the largest passenger airline in Europe based on movements. No flying personnel have lost their job, but some of us are partly furloughed. I'm only working 50%, but I guess I'm lucky to still have a job, as many friends and colleagues in other airlines haven't been as lucky. As for the job itself, I think it might be one of the best paid flying jobs around. The Dash 8 is a fun little airplane to fly, and being in Norway, we have some nice scenery to fly around in. It can be challenging at times with short runways, down to 800 meters. That's short. Terrain at some airports, both creating some nice turbulence with the right wind conditions and requiring non-standardized approaches and departures, and some interesting weather at times. The winter months are the most challenging, the weather that comes with it, and also the fact it is dark most of the day. But in the summer, it is almost a totally different job. We have at times daylight 24/7, and it can be days between each time we have to fly an instrument approach if the weather's okay. And with the shorter routes we fly, the shortest having a flight time of about 8 minutes. Ooh, it's nice to hand fly the whole flight. Back to the article. Avenes is not a remote outpost up north, as you might get the impression of after reading the article. It has a nice long runway, and the ground staff is used to handling larger jets. Flying in and out of the airport is not too challenging, most of the time at least. It even has an ILS coming in from the north. But I do understand that some preparations might be needed, as it is a new destination for Virgin. The biggest issue we have there is with strong winds from the west-southwest, as that can create some nasty turbulence for the approach and landing. I want to end this feedback with a video made by one of our first officers. He said it might be considered an advertisement, so I hope you will allow it. Yeah, I think so. We're gonna give it a go. It's posted on Facebook, so please let me know if you have any problems viewing it. And then he gives us the link, and I'm going to play that for us here in a minute. It's about 5 minutes long, so I do understand if you don't have time to show it live. But if you leave the link in the show notes, I do hope you guys and maybe some of your listeners will appreciate it. The video was created last year and gives a small glimpse into the type of flying we do. And if I might add, it is really well made. And finally, if the situation allows, and I'm lucky enough to be selected in the draw, I do hope to attend the Chicago Marathon this year. If you, Steph, are planning to participate, let us know if you will do some kind of an APG meetup there. Best regards, you all, and let us hope things will improve shortly. And again, that's Marius.
Yeah, I am planning to attend the Chicago Marathon this year, so let's make it happen.
Cool.
Although my time in Chicago might be short depending on other factors, but we can make it work out, for sure.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you'll hear about it on our show if that does indeed happen.
If we're allowed to do it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video, see how this works.
Juliet, identified, Camp Platteville 907. Airline minus 36 Juliet.
And we control, very good afternoon. This is Qatari 725, inbound Ololi, maintaining flight level 380, stroke 0260.
also the flight crew, cabin crew, ground crew, what that means. All right. How do you pronounce that stuff? Widero? Vitero? Vitero?
The
Vitero.
chat room says Widera.
Vitero? Okay. Very
I'll go with what
nice.
the chat room says.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, that little airplane moves damn quick at times, doesn't it? Did you see it get airborne? It took
yeah, it really
3
does.
seconds. I was just so impressed.
It has like a little, gun button, as my wife used to call it in one of the cars. She hit the little thing. Yeah, it's the gun button. It gives a little extra power. How do I get rid of the darn video that's playing here?
I don't know.
It's like I don't see any controls. The host has unmuted your video. Okay. Help. I don't understand how to do this. It says share. I don't want to share the screen anymore. Oh no. Okay, why don't I do this? Yeah, there we go.
That worked.
Yeah, I'm
There
just
we
not
are.
sure exactly what happened with the video, but we don't see it now, so that's good. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm sending Liz 2 versions in quick succession of myself, and really only one is as much as she can handle. Sorry, Liz. Yeah. Okay, so obviously that is something that will be better appreciated for those watching the video, and those who are listening to the audio only will have that link in the show notes, so you can watch it as well. I believe Neil was saying this is a great video. I hope they did it in 4K. Might watch it later. They probably did. It's very well done. And by the way, you're probably hearing it in mono sound, not stereo. So I think that it'll be a better experience if you watch it again.
So I tell you, I mean, there's nothing like seeing the Northern Lights in flight. That's just
gorgeous.
unbelievable. It's just, oh man, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So check it out. Thanks again, Marius, for introducing yourself to the community. Great to have. We have several listeners up there in Norway, at least 2 or 3, and no, I think we have more than that actually. And we're really. It was a pleasure meeting you, and we hope to get more feedback from you in the future. And looks like our control room is telling me that it's now time for this week's installment of Plain Tales. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hit this button here, and let's listen to Flying the Red Flag, Part 3.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales. Flying the Red Flag, Part 3. A continuation of the story of Exercise Red Flag. If you want to get the best out of this podcast, it's probably ideal to go back and listen to parts 1 and 2 first.
A success was to see nobody, but the trouble is that was boring.
So over land is where, frankly, the Rios, the backseaters, made their money, because you had to work some of the challenges over land. Look down, it did pretty well, but you still had to, a good Rio could make it work better.
I suppose being a 2-crew aircraft, as you'd appreciate, it sort of makes things a lot easier.
So we would do, like I said, fighter sweeps ahead as a 2 or 4 ship. We did actually a little bit of reconnaissance work as well. That was something unique to the Tomcat. We had a pod with 3 cameras on board.
We didn't go in with armed fighter escort, blokes on your wings trying to shoot down for you. It was, there were guys out there, but they were typical American air superiority, go in and sweep, shoot everybody down before the bombers get there, sort of thing. That was a good task.
Yeah.
And they would have been told that quite simply, your job is to defend a ground package that's coming through this area at this time, and these are your likely threats, just like it would be in war.
That was the biggest thing when the plan went to hell, how to modify the plan and then go from there.
But to give the Americans their due, that's right up their street. the big package stuff was where they were very strong on.
07, it was the first red flag with F-22, and they managed to replicate an 8-ship wall of F-15s with 2 F-22s. It was blowing our mind at the time.
A successful mission might be to complete your task without actually setting eyes on the enemy, but that was unlikely to happen.
And you'd have F-111s, there'd be all sorts, and then you'd have your escort ahead of you of, say, F-15s or 16s. Then you'd hear the AWACS coming on, reporting from over the Tonopah side of the world. Red Air would have come, they're coming from the west, and you'd start hearing stuff.
Then there would be a general broadcast of fighter activity, 4 bogies, 10 miles southwest of Timbuktu or whatever.
And sometimes we refer to them as clue-wax. So
what did that mean?
They didn't have a clue. But joking, of course.
AWACS, the E3 Sentry Airborne Warning and Control System.
I remember I was a bit of a bad lad, I remember now. I remember that there was a cat floating around. This is a war story. There was a cat floating around over some hills as we were going to it. And I could hear on the radio, I think we probably had to be on a common frequency for air safety's sake. And I can't remember if it's Canadians or who it was, but it must have, I think it was Canadians, so it wasn't 104s. Anyway, and these boys were talking to each other. And I thought, fuck this, we're getting closer now. So I said, hey, Chuck, break right. There's one in right near 6 o'clock. And these 2 guys have got this guy suddenly peeled up. Oh, that worked well.
Oh, you got some turning and burning. Yeah, sometimes you get into it. And, if depending on, who was out there. But yeah, there was definitely some turning and burning that goes on.
Was a load of F-15s got caught up in our package, and one went straight in front of me at very low level. But of course, it's all over so quick. By the time Gash has done all this with his fingers, the Fox 2 was long gone. But if you kept, I guess I just did it by the rules. But the time you made all your switches live, for me, it was too late. But I guess you should, in war, you'd have just left everything ready to go, all your late arm switches and all this sort of rubbish.
A Fox 2, a heat-seeking missile.
Not really turning and burning. I remember surprising some F-15s, chasing them down, shooting them, but never, 1v1, getting slow, that kind of thing.
There weren't too many people that actually wanted to get down that low and tangle.
Yeah. The aggressors coming down, and those boys knew what they were doing.
And generally, to be honest, we got left alone because they couldn't come anywhere near us in terms of height.
Was the aggressor coming down on me and my mate. So we would have gone black duck sort of thing. And I'm going along at 100 feet over the desert. I'm going along and there's my shadow on the desert. And when I'm told to duck, I go down to get closer to my shadow. The shadow and the aeroplane get closer and closer. And at that point, he just broke away. He said, yeah, that was far too hard for me. I'm not going down there.
Chasing down an F-15 once, didn't know we were there yet. We definitely got supersonic chasing him down. I think we went for a gun solution. I'm not sure how that worked out, but that'll be my story.
Especially if you're near the tail end of the strike train, you get picked off every now and then, or at least engaged.
For the strike package, their task was to find and obliterate their ground targets.
Because they had SAM sites in the desert, they had convoys, they had airfields with the little taxiways dug into the side of the mountains like North Korea.
Looking here, it just says 1,000-pound free fall live, JP-233, which obviously wasn't live, but obviously there's an airfield that we're attacking. And then 1,000-pound of retard live, 1,000-pound of retard live, 1,000-pound of free fall live. So that was the best bit, that you were chucking off live bombs.
Bridges, tanks, decoys, things like that.
Seeing a live 1,000-pounder go off in the sandy desert, don't half make a big mushroom. And a Phantom went in, and we all got presented. I got one at home, the IR picture, so you can see these hot spots where the bombs went.
So you could see the target because it was the only thing there, but you still had to get to the target on time, sort of thing.
But I remember leading the first ever HE strafe that had ever been done in a tornado.
You don't want to hang around the target area too long, and if things got screwed up, get the heck out of there.
The aeroplane dumped all the kit, the weaponry kit. So everything just disappeared from the HUD. So it's like, well, that's fair enough. We'll come off dry, and you brief at what's called a gate time. So you do a great big oval, and you come in 30 seconds behind number 8. So that's what I did. So I go all the way around. My wingman, a guy called Wilbur Wilson, he sat there following me around, sticks with his leader, so to speak. I tell everyone what I'm doing. My formation are now pissing off home. I'm going round, and I come down the dive. Everything's ready. I've even got a standby sight up. Just as I'm about to open up, the tornado goes over the target. And I nearly shot him out the bloody sky. So I'm thinking, damned if I'm not getting rid of these bloody bullets. So I go around a third time and then pick off home.
If you did your mission, get out of there. If you didn't and you screwed up, I mean, suddenly you're going back when you don't really want to go back into that where the red air's hanging out, but you got to help out the guys that are dropping the bombs.
Subsequently, in the debrief, Gasher gets asked what he was up to.
And then you go into this massive auditorium because all the jets are carrying the pods like ACMI. So everything's linked. So we sat there with the sort of mission plays, and you can see all these jets, little shapes going across the desert and then doing stuff and coming home again. And some bloke says, "Hey, could you just stop it there, sir?" And he says, "What are those tornadoes doing? Circles." And I'm like, put my hand up and I have to explain myself. But yeah, it looked really funny that they all went home and I'm still going round and round.
And so I'm starting my left-hand descending attack on this F4, and all of a sudden my windscreen was filled with F4. And I am convinced that his tail went between my two.
Whoa.
I was rolling in on the guy down low. This guy was in a pop in the other direction. And I remember it was the Fort Wayne, Indiana Guard. The tail flash at the top was a red, white, and blue stripe. Quarter of a second, a couple feet, half a G from not talking to you today. It was unbelievably close.
One of the great features of Red Flag was the ability to simulate ground-to-air threats.
They had their equipment, their transmitters sitting on the ground, and their operators were trained to do it how the Soviets would do it.
It was enough for us to know there's something dangerous over there. We've got to step around it.
They had ZSU 23-4 type things.
Yeah.
So they will give you, instead of Pulse India, they give you Pulse Juliet. You used to have to listen to the pulse repetition frequency of the fucking radar to work out whether it was AAA or whether it was the SAM 8, who were both Pulse Juliet. So the ZSU 23-4 required you to do a AAA jink, and the SAM 8 required you to fly lower than 50 feet as soon as possible. And they were both Pulse Juliet. And if you got so you actually had to listen to the
the threat simulators that they had out there. I mean, to see yourself on video where they're out there launching smoky SAMs at you and things like that. They left one bodacious smoke trail coming out the back end, so you knew you were being fired at.
They'd stick us down in the weeds, not surprisingly, given the design and the capabilities of the aircraft, and the level of ground threat simulation was more impressive than their aerial threat simulation, in that they had actual, hardware on the ground.
We had EW fit. We definitely had chaff and ECM pods.
So people would be you could chaff and flare, and you have this BOS pod that would be jamming. So of course you flare, but if you flare at 100 feet, the flare's still burning when it hits the ground. And you're flying over civilian manned sites with just local people who are just taught how to operate a ZSU or something. And they're getting flares bouncing underneath their cars. The next person who flares below 300 feet isn't flying again. Me and Brian, because I know what his fingers are like, I just said, we will not flare. I would rather die on exercise, because it doesn't matter, it's not real, But
True.
I've come in to do 2 weeks of flying, not sit on the ground, you know. So we never flared. And the next day, a guy called Paul and Jerry, that was the end of their red flag.
Would you get reprimand flying supersonic over a manned airspace and physical damage to the people inside it, but it actually bent the mechanism and the radar wouldn't spin anymore. So, yeah, it wasn't a great day. You know, Dash 4 just trying to hold on this supersonic egress. He got singled out by the mission commander, and it was like, what's your speed at this point? Mark 1.6, and he's just like, and the GR4 guys, the RAF guys that were there, sort of looked back over their shoulders and went, "Yeah, good on you. That's pretty impressive."
The egress from the target was often the chance for pilots to show the true capabilities of their aircraft.
We could outrun anything at that speed. Yeah, you just put the wings back and go.
The F-111 guys, and we just said, okay, so you hit the target. What do you want for escort? Getting off the target. They'd say, stay out of our way. And you look on the desert floor and you would just see a dust cloud moving along, and those guys are regressing out of their supersonic.
So we worked as 4 ships, but there were 3 of them, and it meant that the front 4 ship couldn't turn around and go back the way they'd just come from, for example. Otherwise, you meet 8 of your mates coming the other way. So there were certain things in a 12 ship that you couldn't do that you could do in a 4 ship.
And then we'd be racing home at 100 feet, 500-600 mile an hour. They'd try and catch you up. Sort of hanging in there down the back of the formation at 100 feet, checking off live bombs. I was as happy as Larry. And it was good fun. And on the way home, it was really just as fast as you like. And you'd have F-111s coming past you. God knows what speed they were doing.
It's an interesting aircraft. It's such a high wing loading. It feels like it's on rails almost. So to have a sense of speed, you don't quite get it the same as you would in another aircraft where it starts to sort of rattle around a bit and you can hear the noise through the canopy and the rest of it. You just don't get any of that. Now, I guess keeping in mind this thing was designed to do Mark 2.5. When it's only sitting at 1.5, it's barely sort of heating up at that point. So it's something that they wouldn't have seen in the States for 20 years at this point. And the feedback we'd get, at the bar on a Friday night, especially from some of the aggressors, just like, we just see you guys go and not even bother chasing.
Afterwards, the debrief would be the moment of truth.
We'd sacrifice one, usually our outboard wing station, for an instrumentation pod, but the benefits of that were immeasurable. You'd watch a full second by second replay of every single aircraft in the area during the debrief, and the SA was just enormous.
Well, for red flag, they gave us colour film. Who's using 16mm, man? We got video. We got digital.
To be honest, the learning opportunities were just ridiculous because you literally got that God's eye view.
Whoever led our 8-ship would have done a hot debrief to get some. Who reckons they got shot down? Well, okay, some of you put your hands down.
I thought we had a pretty good success rate, and especially getting to the guys to the target. I think we did pretty darn good at that.
You go in for a big debrief, and the package leader would pick out some highlights. By then, there'd be colour film of this Jaguar going along, that sort of thing. And here we have the bogey coming up here, sir, and so I kind of, and that sort of thing on the big screen.
The Phoenix was a hard missile to do shot validation, especially using the tax ranges. We would use it, but we wouldn't get any valid kills using it. They wouldn't, eliminate people from the fight because of it. So we would be able to debrief amongst the crew that, that was a valid shot. It would have been a kill, but for the purposes of this training, press time with the fight. That's kind of how we ran it.
The debrief, the instrumentation, the amount of insight you could gain was phenomenal. It wasn't a matter of finding enough lessons to learn. It was like, well, let's just pick 3 important ones out of the thousands that we could sort of drill down on and focus on those, because the fidelity of the feedback you're getting was just phenomenal.
And then eventually this F-15 guy came into our sort of ops area, planning area, and just said, right, have you got a video player, Betamax thing? Yeah. Everybody in there from this trip we'd just landed off. He shut the door and he said, right, this isn't happening. Do we have an understanding? Yeah.
Right.
Played his tape. I mean, I can't remember what it showed. He was shooting the shit out of us.
Oh, dear.
He just said, keep doing what you're doing, boys, but at least we're on the same side. And
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I asked Abs what it was like to conduct one of these debriefs.
Intimidating, especially when, there's 20 odd 1-stars in the front row.
So, what did these guys take away from Red Flag?
It was fascinating, to be honest with you, because it gets so many different models, so many different aircraft with different crews of experiences. And then by the middle of it, you're kind of getting the tactics. And by the end, the learning curve is nearly vertical. It'd be amazing how few words it took to make a strike work out.
It was just such an immersive environment to learn in. And because it was these huge packages that were just back to back to back to back, sort of 10 in a row for 2 weeks, I felt like it was like a year's worth of training back on squadron for me, and probably took a year off your life at the other end of it.
So yeah, it was definitely worthwhile. It was fun. It was tactical. You learned a lot, and you work those new tactics and lessons learned into your future planning, that kind of thing. So it was.
And the second one we went on the week before, a guy I'd done bad coal group with ended up ejecting. He lost it at low level, jumped out, got smacked massively, broke his leg. I mean, he was in a terrible way. And the airplane carried on.
You're joking.
The ejection recovered it, and it carried on for quite a while.
That's the hardest dang course I've ever been through in my life. We weren't out playing volleyball with Goose and Maverick. We were.
I remember more practicing for the Morris dancing because, we had to entertain the boys on a Friday night in the bar.
What?
We trained up. Did we have 8? Yeah, we had an 8 doing the old bells and the hats, and I've got some photos somewhere, with bells and the things and
the sticks
and the hankies and all that stuff. Dancing up and down. Yeah, we were accomplished Morris side, mate. The Yanks had never seen anything like it, of course.
I bet not.
Yeah, no, the Americans looked after us well, Nick. We had to be on our best behaviour, really.
My enormous thanks to Nige from RAF Jaguars, Gasher from the Mighty Tornado, Jack the Eagle Driver, Scott our Tomcat Rio, and Abs with his eye-watering F-111 for their insights into Red Flag. Good show, guys.
Wow, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Fun to listen to.
So much
Thanks,
fun.
Jeff. I have to admire Liz's dexterity. She just did those pictures perfectly. That was fast and furious for her. She really had to work hard to keep up. So thanks, Liz. I tell you what, chatting to those guys, although I didn't go out there, I felt after our conversations that I had been there. I felt their excitement. For some of them, it was 40 years ago. For others, much more recent. But they all had just one common theme. It was probably the most realistic, fantastic training, and they came away with a great deal. But despite that, they all managed to have a good time as well. And listening to some of those little stories, those exploits, brilliant. I really loved it.
And you could tell they had a lot of fun retelling those stories.
Oh yeah,
too.
it's like they're reliving it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all very experienced guys. So they'd been there and done it, and it was behind them now, so they felt free to talk about it. There was a fine chap I could have spoken to if I'd had another few months, probably to set it up. But no, I thought we'll keep it back in recent history at least, or in some cases, in Nigel's case, very distant history. because that way they were able to
I just
to
taking all
tell.
kinds of abuse today.
Well, he's in the chat room. So they were able to open up a bit more.
Arnie in the chat room is asking, do they still do red flag nowadays?
Oh, absolutely, yes. They've had them this year. The F-22, the F-35 are out there doing all that stuff. And, of course, the sort of technology we were talking about there, where everyone carried a special pod that looked like a missile. Excuse me. It had inertial gyros in there. It linked to sensors around the range. It also linked to the aircraft weapon system. It was all fed back into the debrief so that they played on these huge screens, laser projected images of the entire exercise and every single aircraft in detail. And at any time someone fired a missile, the computers would calculate the likelihood of that missile reaching its target and killing its target. And if you were an unfortunate chap to get shot down, a little coffin would appear around you. Now that was the technology when I was in the Air Force 30 or 40 years ago. Nowadays, of course, it's all data linked to satellites and then recorded, and of course the onboard computers can provide so much more information. Nowadays it's considerably more sophisticated. It was sophisticated enough back then, but nowadays it's just an unbelievably high level of training. And of course all the equipment and the threat has changed, and so the whole exercise moves along to cope with the different scenarios that people might face. It used to be the Cold War, that has switched, but certainly they're totally capable of adjusting it to meet modern day threats. And it is a fantastic facility out there, and that is unbelievable.
Neil in our chat room says, Nick, I have to say, the editing on this is top notch. You've really captured the camaraderie and sense of place. There's probably a whole podcast in red flag.
Yeah, I think if you could get access, there could be. But for me, it's just one aspect of, my experience that I wanted to try and bring forward. And since I never got there, it was an ideal opportunity to delve into the minds of those who did. So enormous thanks to the guys who were willing to chat to me.
I got a chance to, Brent, my first officer on this trip, he flew the B-52 in the Air Force, and he said he participated in red flag one year in the early 90s, and he said it was amazing.
Oh, absolutely. They had aircraft like the B-52 who would simulate flying halfway around the world from their base, arrive overhead the Nellis Ranges, do their attack mission, and then spend another 5 or 6 hours tanking their way back home again. And that was hard missions for those guys. All these fighter pilots, they were airborne for 2 hours. But, some aircraft, really did go an awful long way to participate and then go all the way back to their base at the end of it. And these packages were put together just like they would be in real life as well. So everyone got a huge amount of training.
Excellent. Well, that was very enjoyable. I can't wait to listen to it again from the beginning. 3-part series, folks. If you missed the previous 2, please look for the Plain Tales web page on our website, and you can relive all the wonderful work that Nick put together for us. All right. Shall we continue with some more feedback?
Let's do it.
We shall.
Let's do Gus 6. I'm going to... Pardon? Oh, okay. I thought you were objecting to my choice, Liz. Okay. I'm trying to share the screen. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Share. And there we go. Gus sends sent this in. APG crew, please listen to my attached audio feedback and see pics from my recent visit to the Alaska Air 261 Memorial at Naval Air Station Point Magoo near Ventura, California. Cheers, Gus. And so he has some pictures for us to look at and some audio for us to listen to.
Hey, APG crew, I just wanted to recount a bit of a somber experience had today, and I wanted to thank you for that in a positive way. I was out at the campground with my family at Naval Air Station Point Magoo, and I came across a memorial to Alaskan Air Flight 261. And so on my next walk with the dog that next day past that point, I listened to Captain Nick's old pilot's tale about that event. And it was really chilling to be looking out over the ocean and listening to the captain's calls and LA Center's calls back to him and the other aircraft in the area. And then to just to picture it just a few miles off the coast, right in front of where I'm standing. And it gave me pause to think about all the times I've had maintenance events that have held me back from flying. And I'm really thankful for those. There's very little we do, with few exceptions, that can't wait till the next day or can't wait till later to get something fixed and get something right. And it's really good when you find something. It's because it's good that you didn't have to find it up in the air like they did. So anyway, just wanted to thank you for that. It was great in a very somber way to listen to that and experience it that way. And just as I was getting ready to leave the first time a few days ago when I was out here, it was pretty overcast with a good marine layer, and I could faintly hear a jet overhead. It was pretty eerie, and as if they had come from back west briefly just to thank someone for thinking of them. And then they just kind of faded off into the distance again as I walked away. So thanks again for the Old Pilots Playing Tales and the podcast, and thanks for everything you guys do. And maybe our other fellow crew can keep that in mind, that the next time you find something, you should thank your maintainers or engineers for finding something on the ground, even if it's inconvenient at the time. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Gus, for sharing that with us. Nice pictures there at the memorial at Point Magoo.
That panorama, it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah. In memory of...
I wasn't aware that there was a memorial there. But I think this flight, if any, really deserves one. It was just an absolute tragedy, and relatively recent in our memory, such that people who had heard those transmissions got in touch with me after we did that plane tale. So, very, very sad, of course, and completely avoidable, which made it all the more tragic.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Gus, for that. Greg, our big-ass fan. Big-ass fan. Oh, he's not here anymore. He was here earlier, but I guess he had to leave. He has like a real life.
It takes him some time to get that big ass back to
squeezed into his car,
I guess.
Extra travel allowance time here. I don't know what you even meant by that, Nick, but anyway.
Just
I presume he travels with a fan. Does he not?
For context, for the people that are just listening to the show, Greg Peterson works at the Big Ass Fan Company. They make very large fans.
And he is a very large fan.
Yeah, he is a large fan of the APG.
Yes,
but he's not a big. Well, okay. Greg says, I went back and watched the video of the ATR that ran into that jet bridge. You can clearly see both engines running, but how are the props on the number one engine not more damaged when they hit the jet bridge? Those prop blades look to be in pretty good shape, having just hit a jet bridge. I think Steph and I were both saying, or maybe more of us, like, yeah, you would think that the props would have been kind of mangled, and the jet bridge would be more mangled from that propeller running around. I don't know. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they had just shut down the engine and they were just kind of idling. Or
I think my guess is that I don't think ATRs have APUs. So in lieu of an APU, they, I guess, remove the torque out of an operating engine and just basically run electrics and pneumatics and hydraulics. Well, not really hydraulics, but just electrics and pneumatics off of that engine that's not producing any thrust. I don't know what the configuration of this particular turboprop is, but in a lot of these engines, you have what's called a free turning turbine, which basically means that the prop itself is not connected to the engine. And so if you remove the torque from that engine and just run again the electrics and pneumatics of that engine, the fact that it's not producing power, it's not producing any torque. If you hit something, and the fact that it's a free turning turbine, it'll just basically stop the prop and not damage it. So that's my guess. I know
Steph
that
knows a little bit about this.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I'm not sure how that works if they're just using it for the pneumatics, and I'm not
okay.
sure about that part of the system. So, but
Yeah.
that makes some sense. But I think
So
you'd
that's-
still see some damage, but
Yeah,
I
of
guess
course.
just not enough to be noticeable
Right.
in the pictures that we were provided with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of these smaller turboprops, twin engine turboprops, as I said, don't have APs, auxiliary power units. So you need to have a source of electric and pneumatic somewhere. So I guess that'd be the way to do it.
All right. Well, there you go, Greg. That's our best guess. And then he says, follow-up question to rejected takeoff story from the last episode. Or actually it was episode 459. I know that in a rejected takeoff, you absolutely should not rely on the tires deflating to help stop the aircraft because you may not get the wheels hot enough to melt the fuse plugs. But in this instance, do you think that the fact that all 8 main tires deflated was a contributing factor to stopping the airplane in time? And had they not deflated, the outcome could have been different? Perhaps a runway overrun? I've got to think that 8 flat tires is going to produce a fair amount of rolling resistance. Interested to hear your thoughts. Your big-ass fan, Greg Peterson. I don't know. I would, just me, I don't know. I don't have anything to back this up, but I think that a deflated tire is not going to be as helpful as an inflated tire as far as mechanical friction stopping and that kind of thing. But I don't know. That's just my guess.
Yeah,
What
I
about
agree
you
with
guys?
you. Not only that, but tire rotation velocity is one of the factors considered in the takeoff calculations. I remember, just off the top of my head here, Category D tires on most heavy airliners are rated up to 224 miles an hour, and so anything faster than that, I'm sure there's going to be some margin for fudge factor there. But anything higher than that, the structural integrity of the tire itself, based on those high rotation velocities, is going to be compromised. So that is, in fact, a figure that is taken into account when you're figuring out takeoff speed, V1, VR. So, but I'm with you there, Jeff. I don't think that I do think that a properly inflated tire at the correct pressure is going to give you the stopping power that you need. Otherwise, part of the braking system would be just to deflate all the tires. So that's not the case,
that's exactly right. You could always try lifting the gear. That's always an option, but
Well,
even
yeah,
that, I'm
more
not,
drag.
I'm not convinced that you're going to stop any quicker. You can never rely on deflating tires anyway, because it takes a finite amount of time for the temperature created by the brakes to radiate out to where the fuse plugs are, and then to deflate then deflate the tires. So traditionally you'll see an aircraft screech to a halt in a rejected takeoff, and then some 30 seconds later the tires will all go psh, and then it'll deflate. It doesn't happen normally during the rejection because the heat hasn't actually been generated to a sufficient level, and it hasn't radiated out to the points where the fuse plugs are. But so I'm with you guys. No, you're not going to get a better amount of retardation from anything other than a properly working tyre. And that's probably illustrated in a lot of cases by the fact that if you do burst your tyres during a rejection, it's probably because or at a landing, it's because your ABS, your automatic braking system, like anti-skid system in a car, isn't working, and you've actually stopped the tyres for a sufficient length of time for them to wear through and burst. And that usually doesn't help you at all, sadly.
No. So if you raise the gear handle, would the gear come up?
Well, there on some aircraft it would, because there's
no. The airplane will come down.
You
Very
got me.
funny.
You got me.
That used to be one of my questions for my students when I was in pilot training.
You
So if you do the
I bet
override
they
switch,
loved you
put
as an
the-
instructor.
Yeah,
They're like,
oh my God,
this guy's gonna ask me.
I love that captain.
Again.
He's funny.
Because we could do it on the military aircraft I flew. We could override the landing system and raise the wheels during a rollout. Very
It's a good question, though. Yeah, I mean, it would be a lot of drag, but I don't think it would be as effective as properly inflated tires and normally working brakes.
Well, on the Phantom it would, because the Phantom had just lousy brakes.
Okay.
They were just awful. I mean, they were designed to just allow it to taxi around an aircraft carrier. They weren't really designed for long-term use on runways, which is why we had a damn great big brake parachute.
That's right. The model you were flying were originally designed for the Navy, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Cool. All right, Greg. Well, there you go. That's our best stab at answering those questions. Carl writes in. He says, Captain Jeff, you're always telling us about the best part and favorite parts of the show. Okay, time to confess. What's the worst part of the show? What's your least favorite part? Only so many segments, so something is going to get hit. Keep up the great work, Carl. Well, he's kind of stirring the pot here. Well, Carl, I think my personal worst part of the show.
Worst part of the show.
The worst part of the show is the end, because I just don't want it to end, because I have so much fun every week with my friends here on the show. So that's the worst part of the show. The end. Stop it. Well, except for that guy that's sticking his fingers in his mouth, making himself throw up.
For me, the worst part of the show is when Jeff gives me something very technical to read after he knows that I've had a couple of alcoholic or adult beverages.
No. That's the very best part of the show, Steph. Come on.
For you.
Maybe not for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I hate the getting to know you now, because I never do anything.
There's nothing to talk about.
It's kind of a bummer every time it comes out.
So
It's like,
depressing.
what have you been doing, Nick? Well,
I've just
nothing.
been sitting here waiting for.
Thanks for reminding me about it. Thanks for bringing it up.
Thanks for reminding me I'm retired
Rubbing
and I
my
don't
nose.
fly anywhere and
Pour
do
some
anything.
lemon juice in that paper cut.
Well, we're sure, we're confident that's going to change eventually, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. Rick, what's the worst part of the show?
I can't. I was trying to think here. I just can't.
There
think
are
of,
no worst
It's
parts.
the
there's
shows
no
where
good
Rick
part.
can't join us.
Yeah, that's right. When you can't be with us.
Yeah. That's,
Oh wait. Oh, Rick. No technical questions.
no technical questions. That's my least favorite part of the show, I guess. Yeah, I do like the technical stuff, but no, it's
Liz, what's your worst part of the show, Liz? Oh yeah, worrying about the amount of feedback we're going to have. But look,
She's
look and
always
see how
worried.
far we haven't even gotten through.
We've got like
half?
13 minutes left to go to the end of the show, and
we're number 8.
she's like, "There's just
Yeah.
not very
So
much
she's-
feedback this week, guys."
It's all needless worry. I said it always works out, Liz. It always works out.
Well, I'm glad it's not putting up the slides for the plane tail, because
Oh yeah,
It's a close second.
Oh wait, she's saying yes. That is actually, now that you mentioned it.
yeah,
the
because
worst part of
Liz
the
doesn't get a pee break like the rest of us, and she's just
I listened. I did not take a physiologic break this time around.
Oh.
It was just that compelling, which means I'm eagerly awaiting about 13 minutes from now when I can
I'll tell you a secret.
Excellent.
See, I can see what I have video of Liz. I can tell when she takes a lot of breaks. She leaves her
Poppy.
Oh yeah, she blames it on her dog. I got to take the dog for a walk. Okay, right. We have 20 minutes left, Liz says, Steph. Yeah. Can you make it?
We could finish them all if we tried.
That's all right. I have got a... Never mind. I have a large bladder. I'll make it. It'll be all right.
Okay.
Well
all
trained.
right. Let's move on then and
Years
try
of
to do
medical
some more here. Let's see. What was I going to... Oh, yeah. You want him to do Charlie, so to speak? Hello, APG crew. Charlie from Minnesota here. I'm a private pilot and am also lucky enough to work in the airline industry and still currently have employment. I've been listening for years, but have never submitted any feedback. I'm happy to finally change that. I follow a local aviation Facebook page here at MSP, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and there was a recent post that caught my attention. Attached is a screenshot from FlightAware of a SkyWest flight from MSP to MKE, so Minneapolis, St. Paul to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that took an unusual routing. Instead of heading southeast to Milwaukee after departure, it instead went north about 150 miles to Duluth, Minnesota, and then turned southeast to Milwaukee. I've seen unusual routings like this many times before, usually during weather events to avoid storms, but weather was not a factor in this case. Or maybe it was, after all. The discussion in the post focused on ozone and how the routing was likely an attempt to avoid a thinner layer of ozone. While I know radiation levels are higher while at altitude, I've never heard of flight rerouting because of it. I'd be interested in getting insight on this from some professional pilots. Do we have any?
I haven't seen any around here recently.
A few unprofessional
wrong show over here.
Wrong place.
There might be some in the chat room. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get their input. It's fine.
Yeah. So please let me know if you ever have any on the show. Oh, shoot. I ruined his joke. So he made the joke. So please let me know if you ever have any on the show.
You should just reread that.
Yeah,
Pluck us out.
No, I like it the way it was.
Okay. Sorry, Charlie. I messed up your. Sorry, Charlie?
Your
only the best
inverted commas joke.
What was that old commercial? Do you remember, guys? Sorry, Charlie. Only the best tuna.
Oh, yeah, the Starkist commercial.
Starkist, yeah. I don't remember how it went, though. Sorry.
Anyway, sorry, Charlie, for messing up your joke. Okay, thanks to you all for putting out such a great and informative show each and every week. I always learn something new. Wishing you tailwinds, great beer, and COVID vaccines for all. Charlie from Minnesota. Now let me share the little depiction of the FlightAware. So, Minneapolis is here, and then you got Milwaukee down to the southeast, but it goes, as you said, up north toward Duluth, and then to the southeast, and then finally to Milwaukee. And so I'm thinking, ozone? I don't know. That sounds kind of sketchy to me. So
Never heard of a
I thought they were just
being...
trying to trace the outline of the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, well,
no.
Or make
I would say
kind of,
airspace restrictions, but that would be
or a doodle
way too
flare,
logical.
or a doodle fail, maybe a flight doodle fail. I don't know.
Sky doodle.
Perhaps
I'm thinking
they forgot where they were going until they got to the turning point, and then they went, "Oh, damn, we're supposed to be heading down there."
Hey, bud. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think this is the way to go to Milwaukee. I think we're going the wrong way. Oh, shoot. Okay. Ask for a right turn. So I'm thinking
they didn't cage their directional gyro card properly.
Right.
That's what it was.
We've been going the wrong way. So I'm thinking, who better to ask than our great friend and APG community member and host of his own podcast, Flying and Life, Mike Carrolls. He's a dispatcher at Acme Airlines, dispatcher extraordinaire. And so I sent him an email. And I forwarded this thing, and I said, "What do you think about this?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's a real thing. Normally, it's not a factor, but it can be when there is an abnormal with the weather. Most commercial aircraft have ozone scrubbers, but as you can see below, not all of them do. It's quite likely that the CRJ does not, and they need to avoid the area. Normally, you can descend and fly below the area of ozone." And then he gives us a link to the FAR regarding ozone. And then below is from the FCOM 8.2.10 ozone operations. Ozone is a toxic, highly reactive pollutant that is nearly colorless, faint blue, with an odor similar to weak chlorine. The symptoms of ozone exposure include eye irritation, difficulty in breathing, hacking coughs, and nosebleeds. The amount and distribution of ozone in the atmosphere varies with latitude, altitude, season, and weather conditions. The highest concentrations of ozone occur above the tropopause in the stratosphere during the late winter and early spring seasons. FAR 121.578 requires that commercial aircraft operators have processes to reduce the introduction of elevated ozone concentrations into the passenger cabin. Most Acme aircraft accomplish this mechanically via equipped ozone converters, which separate the ozone from the outside air prior to entering the cabin. However, Boeing 717s, 737s, and some 757s are not equipped with ozone converters. Acme Meteorology will issue an ozone TP message, a message regarding weather when conditions exist that could put these aircraft at high risk of high-level ozone exposure. Non-converter equipped aircraft must operate below flight level 370 within ozone TP areas to ensure that ozone levels do not exceed limits specified by this regulation. The dispatcher will list any ozone-related altitude restrictions in the remarks sections. The dispatcher will list any ozone-related altitude restrictions in the remarks sections of the flight dispatch release, the FDR. Mike. So thank you, Mike, for giving us information. And so I guess it is a thing. Now, I'm always below flight level 370, or the highest we ever go on the 717 is 370. But I guess there are times when it actually is something that can affect the flight at lower altitudes, and it's a real thing. So, yeah. Learn something.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never had to deal with any of this, and I've been
Well, we flew decent airplanes, Rick.
Yeah, we routinely
equipped
went
with
up to
ozone converters.
Yeah, we flew proper airplanes.
Yeah,
so where do you guys
went up to 45,000 feet, and it wasn't an issue. So,
what? So where do you guys? Where would I find the ozone converter on your airplane, Nick? Where was that?
Go back and study.
Part of your pre-flight?
Back to the books.
Yeah. We had to look up, and there was a little green disc on the side of the cockpit.
No, that's not the ozone converter.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I was like, I'm sure I've flown airplanes that have ozone converters, I guess, but nobody ever said anything to us about it.
No, I had no idea they existed.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, well, there you go.
Well, I've
Charlie?
learned something.
Yep.
A bit late in my career, but I now
Every
know
day's a
something
school
new.
day, Nick. Every day's a school day.
Yeah, well.
You're a much better person for it now, don't you think? Well, maybe not. Okay.
Me or Nick? Just
Nick.
Oh.
That's interesting. I'm looking at the DDG at the dispatch deviation guide, and so the 76s that we fly around in have 2, none required for dispatch, and there's an operational procedure, and you go down here and it says that if you don't have at least one of these operating, you're limited to, depending on what the altitude or the height of the tropopause is, you're limited to certain flight levels. But it's never been an issue. I've never had to deal with stuff before, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of such a thing actually. Yeah, I really thought that was a bunch of bunk when I first read it, and then when Mike came back and said, "Oh yeah, it's a real thing."
So it's definitely a thing, but do we think that's really what happened with this particular flight routing here? Because presumably they could just fly.
Reasonable.
I mean, it doesn't look to me like they'd need to go any higher than maybe low 30s, if
I
that.
would think, yeah. I mean, it's not a long
just fly
flight.
at a lower altitude.
Yeah, fly at a lower altitude.
Just tank up a little bit more and just fly lower.
I reckon his mum lived in that island just to the north. So he did
on Lake Superior.
Yeah, he flew past his mum's house, and then he went to his destination.
He goes, "Hey, I got a great excuse for why we did this. have.
Ozone.
The ozone.
Oh, here we go. This is why I haven't seen it before. I forgot this little note at the end here. It says, freighter, not required for freighter jets. Like, all right,
Oh, because you guys are expendable.
Well, yeah, you're fine.
No passengers.
We're only worried about the paying customers
The
here.
paying customers. You know, there's just freighters.
Pilots.
Hey.
Yeah. That's
Whatever.
why Part 117 don't apply to us.
Yeah,
either.
particularly cargo pilots. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, yesterday I did the most cargo pilot thing I've ever done in my career. I thought this was kind of funny. I got a little bit of a headache in the middle of the night. Nobody around. So I pulled out an aspirin and I downed my aspirin down with my black coffee, no sugar. And I was like, in the middle of the night, I was like, this is the most cargo pilot thing I've ever done. I got rid of my headache that way. Yeah.
Caffeine and aspirin.
There you go.
What a better combination.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, yeah. Nice. All right. Quickly with Paul. Hey, guys, new listener here. We have a lot of new listeners and first-time feedbackers here on the show.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Keeps things fresh and interesting. But we want to hear from
episode.
you long-term listeners, too. I was just trying to be nice to everyone. So.
Oh, yeah, well, we don't have any long-term listeners.
You can try.
We've scared them all away.
They listen to a couple of shows and they go, yeah, nah, move on. Anyway, he says, second episode I've listened to, actually, and I'm in the middle of it at the moment. You were just talking about the video of the crop duster, and I thought I'd give some feedback on the thing on the nose of the aircraft. That was quite a while ago when we talked about that video of the crop duster, because there was some kind of a weird light bar thing. Nobody seemed to know what that was. Well, this guy knows, because he's a crop duster pilot. That's a sat-lock GPS light bar, a screen inside the cockpit which is part of the same unit and allows the pilot to choose a pattern to fly the field. Okay, a pattern to fly the field so the chemical is applied evenly without overlaps or skips. It also allows you to set your rate you need to apply the chemical as well as your swath width.
Does that mean you can draw pictures on the fields?
Probably.
I don't know if that would be the most efficient use of the...
And your customer probably wouldn't appreciate it.
No.
Yeah.
But on
your
last
crops are
flight,
only
perhaps.
growing in this design of...
I know.
Yeah,
That's an odd. Why do we only have like a smiley face out there in the field of crops this year?
Apparently there was something wrong with my my sat-lock GPS light bar. Write that up.
Smiley face. That's the best case scenario. No, not getting Nick in that airplane. I don't know.
I was not
I don't know what's
going
to happen there.
I was not going
Like,
to suggest
what the hell is this?
skydivers might draw in their field. It'd be completely
Pretty big.
It's pretty. That's more than
Anyway.
16 inches, I tell you.
Okay, yeah. As a former flight attendant, I think something totally different when I hear crop dusting. Not sure what that is. Okay. The light bar, going back to Paul. Sorry, Paul. This is his first feedback, and look what we're doing.
Okay. It's great.
We've done that to a
feedback. I
lot
love
of
it.
first feedbacks
Yeah, we have.
today.
Sorry.
Trial by fire over here.
Yeah, it's because we love you. Yes, you're right, Liz. The light bar, and if we didn't love you, we wouldn't do this. The light bar on the nose is just a display outside of the cockpit to keep our eyes outside and can be configured a few different ways. We keep the airplane within 4 or 5 feet to center line of the swath, and it's very easy to see if someone was not on their lights. Very good. I'm a 26-year-old starting my 4th season this year. I'm in Arkansas, and I fly a Air Tractor 802 powered by a PT6-65, generally flying 500 to 700 hours a year in our season, which is February through November. Great podcast. I'm glad I found it. Keep up the good work. Paul. Well, thanks, Paul.
Is
That's
that
a lot
near
of flights.
Arkansas?
No.
No.
It's nowhere near
okay.
Arkansas.
All right, fair enough.
Arkansas.
Some
I
challenging
know.
flying there, Paul. So
Oh, yeah,
stay
absolutely.
safe
Oh, yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
That is, that's very challenging. You got to be
Stay
really
safe
good.
along as long as necessary to at least send us another piece of feedback. At least.
Precisely.
Fly safe, Paul.
Yeah.
Fly safe.
Yeah, fly safe. That's cool. I'm glad that we have it's so cool that this aviation community is just so wide-ranging and what's the diverse and
Yeah.
you know,
All encompassing.
crop dusters and
Hey,
yes,
it doesn't
all
matter what
encompassing.
you fly, or even if
Yep.
you don't fly.
Yeah.
We love hearing
Just-
from you.
If you just love this whole flying thing, you're in the right place. Let's see. So only 5 minutes, Liz is telling me. 12. Okay. All right. Oh, well, look at this. This is from Stuttgart Dan, STR Dan, and he's going to tell us about aircraft-induced snow. Okay. He says, Dear Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, retired, Dr. Steph, Miami Rick, and Liz, although I haven't been a listener for a long time, only since March 2020, almost a year, I've been following your show closely and enjoy it immensely whenever I have the chance to, amongst handling 3 little kids at home during a lockdown in Germany that feels like waiting for a de-icing truck to show up in an airport in the Death Valley. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yesterday, I've been presented with this little piece of weather phenomenon that apparently does not occur too often. Neither me nor my colleagues remember to have been taught, read, or seen a case of aircraft-induced snow. Industry-induced snow can be observed during a cold winter at airports close to heavy industry. I remember it vividly in Krasnoyarsk, Siberia? Krasnoyarsk? Sure. Siberia, from my old days as a freight dog.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute there quick enough. I've spoken to them many times. And you did a good job, Jeff. Well done.
Okay. So I want to hear you say it.
Krasnoyarsk.
Krasno. Ooh, you put a nice little rolled R on there that I didn't.
Well, put it this way: they replied, then they weren't rude to me, so I'm assuming I got it vaguely correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Good job. The mercury there oftentimes dipped as low as -42 C. Oh, that's cold.
A little cold.
So I know that you, Captain Jeff, are a weather geek like I am. I mean, Steph is even more a weather geek than I am. And I may have wondered whether you might be interested that type of snow that is new to me as an aviator who has been in the industry for almost 20 years, albeit not flying at the moment. Yes, my ears perked up when I heard or saw the title of this thing, Aircraft-Induced Snow. I've never heard of it. He says, to everyone out there, keep healthy, strong, and study, and we will hear each other on the airwaves soon. Regards, Stuttgart Dan, again, STR Dan, and he is a captain on the A320 family flying for Acme, Germany. And then he gives us he gave us a link to this article, Airplane Effect Snow Targets Dallas-Fort Worth Suburbs on Friday. And I'm thinking, what is it? So there's some radar display. Or I should probably share the screen again. Add to stream. There we go. So we have what is this thing called again, Steph? This vertical depiction. There's a name for this. Like
a graph?
T something.
I don't know, actually.
I don't know. Come on, weather girl. You're supposed to know this stuff.
I don't know all these things.
Okay.
This is just a hobby. I don't study it in detail.
So there's a whole bunch of lines and labels and other crooked lines. I don't know.
It looks like a T5gram, but I'm not sure.
I think that's what it is, actually. Thank you, Nick. So it's a look at data from Friday morning's weather balloon launch from Fort Worth, University of Wyoming. Okay. And then there's a radar return that looks something that we are kind of used to seeing. A bird's eye view of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and a circled area here that says airplane effect snow. And I've never heard of this, and I guess it has something to do with the condensation nuclei that's expelled from jet engines that trigger the formation of ice crystals.
Yeah, I think the graph shows areas of supercooled air.
Moisture. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's air that it would love to come out and produce, in this case, because supercooled ice crystals or snow, but it's sitting there and it has nothing to initiate its formation until an airplane passes through. And then it's going to throw in a bunch of carbon particles in its exhaust, plus additional moisture, because that's what you get when you burn jet fuel. And with that mixing effect plus the little carbon particles, they provide something for the supercooled droplets to form on. And they coalesce out of the air and turn into an ice crystal like
it's almost like you're
snowflake.
Cloud seeding.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it's very similar to condensation trails, but of course you're which are also ice crystals, but you're at low level, so they can fall to the ground. I mean, condensation trails descend, and this is close enough to the ground to descend, I guess, as kind of snow.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've heard of it previously on Arctic airfields, and they referred to it as, on the ground, as sort of ice crystal fog, because, it doesn't happen so much on the approach, but aircraft taxiing around can produce this effect, and they can fog themselves out. That's the only time I've ever heard of something similar.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and you get that temperature inversion, which is a lot more common in winter as well, which really helps with that super cool air that you need.
Mm-hmm. Super cool, dude.
Super cool.
So super cold is just air below zero that contains moisture, and it hasn't come out into physical form.
And the thing with the reason why it's called an inversion, temperature inversion, is because normally as you go up in altitude, temperature goes down. Temperature inversion means that the temperature goes up with altitude, not down. So I believe it's 3 degrees per 1,000 feet, something like that. That's standard lapse rate. So,
or you can actually find like a very distinct boundary layer too, where temperature decreases, and then all of a sudden it's much warmer on top of that layer. So it can have another effect too of trapping pollutants and things like that in certain areas.
Chris Griggs nails it. It's like skew T.
That sounds vaguely familiar. I may have learned that at some point.
That's what it is.
Way in the remote past.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. All right. Well, you learned something. Again, we learned a lot of things on today's show. And thanks to all of you, especially our new listeners and new feedback givers. Thanks. We really do love you guys and gals out there. So, and everybody, we love all our live audience chat room members. Thanks for hanging out with us, as most of you do every week without fail. I mean, that means a lot to us as well. Thank you again also to all those who contribute to the show financially, our Coffee Fund cadre. Again, man, we love you. Everybody out there, thanks for joining us every week. So if you're new and you want to learn more about the show, we have an awesome website. It's called airlinepilotguy.com, coincidentally. And there is a lot of good stuff there. I'm not going to go into it all. Check it out yourself. You'll see all the great stuff we have on it. Also, if you want to send us feedback at airlinepilotguy.com is the best way to do it. You can even send us audio feedback by attaching your audio files to your email. Or you can use SpeakPipe, which is on the Contact Us page of our website. And also, hey, we're hip here. We're doing the social media thing, the social meds. You can tell we're hip because we say social meds. So, Steph, tell us about that.
I'm so embarrassed.
I'm sorry. Steph.
Hey,
Steph
find
says,
us on
no, that's not
Twitter.
The Twitters.
Or Twitter, twitter.com, or the app, appropriate to your mobile device. We are at APG Crew, and you can find our individual handles pinned to the top of that page. You can also find us over on Facebook, facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. And I might get back to doing some posts on our Instagram page at some point, but we are also APG Crew on Instagram. And if you'd like to be even more involved in that, because that's kind of just scratching the surface, you should find out about Slack. Get involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of Slackers hanging out at Slack. Hillel is the guy that came up with this APG Slack team and manages it. And let's see if he's here with us. Oh, that was the wrong thing. He's talking out of order. Okay, yes, the shower. Because Hillel likes to keep clean. Hey, Hillel, you have time for the Slack thing? Hillel? That's okay. Just make sure it's mostly dried off. before you get here. Okay, hang on. Okay, you're getting me wet again. Okay, let me move out of the way.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you very much, Hillel. Do appreciate that. Always.
Come back, Jeff. You missed a spot.
What? It doesn't make sense. I don't. Okay.
I don't want to know what's going on there anymore.
I'm not sure what spot he's talking about, but okay. There we go. Thank you very much for that. And finally, we need to make sure that we acknowledge our awesome producer, director, and she is in Toronto, Ontario, California. No, Canada. I'm getting so confused. Rick is in Ontario, California, and Liz is Ontario, Canada. Toronto, to be exact. So, I mean, honestly, we couldn't do the show without Liz. Or if we did, it would be pretty pathetic, actually. So, thank you, Liz, for being here and being such a big part of our APG crew. And with that, it's time for us to leave you, and we'll be back again next week. Hopefully you will as well, and wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and favorable winds. Take care, and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
We'll see you next week. Be safe out there.
Bye, everybody. You got an elephant
those, like,
in your
party
room?
favors?
Yeah, I sound like
I like
an elephant. Those are those noisemakers. When I play them with this, sounds a little bit better.
That sounds
kind
more
of anemic. Oh, that sounds
apropos.
Yeah. By itself? Not good.
Well, I can't believe Captain Nige has stayed up all this time.
Oh, my gosh. Nige. Yeah. Well, I mean, two old men can do it, right?
Yeah, just.
And when I say old, I mean that in a nice way, because I'm right there with you, man. This was the best Airline Pilot Guy show ever. Oh, I'm 62.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm in my 60s. Oh, poor Arnie. Has he been drinking again?
I think so.
Thank you very much, Arnie. We do appreciate that. And thank you, Chris and Nige.
Oh, was that his his show title contribution?
Oh, okay. He doesn't really mean it. Is that what you're saying?
I think he was being...
okay. Well, I take it back.
Facetious.
No, thank you. All right. What was that first one that
Angle of Dangle.
Angle of the
Angle Dangle.
Angle of Dangle.
Angle of Dangle.
I think there's a "the" in there. Angle of the Dangle.
Oh,
Angle
I
of
just
the
have
dangle.
Angle of Dangle. I tend to economize and leave out articles and things.
I do like
write.
Angle of the Dangle better. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I mean, I'm just.
Oh no.
The words
I like.
that
They're all great contributions, Steph.
Okay.
I
had Captain Nick's word of the day, salubrious.
Yeah.
He used it multiple times.
Twice today.
Two times.
At least twice.
During when we were talking about the airport in Russia as a descriptor of the place, and then also about the 172 as use of an air taxi.
Yep. I noticed that. Very nice.
Okay. How about
I'm
Liz
trying
says
to think
something
of a
about
picture
fish?
of salubrious. But there you go.
Yeah, I can't think of any picture.
No,
of
that's not a good show title. I was just making note of it.
She was just making a point.
Making a point that you use salubrious.
You're very
twice
lucky
in one
I
show.
only used it twice, yes. Because when I get into a groove, I like to really pound it.
Oh, yeah, Captain Nick. Yeah, the guy that keeps saying salubrious. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Liz?
You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it
Slipping and
means.
sliding. And what? Fish on board. Okay, could be a fishy cargo thing. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, fishy cargo smelly thing. Yeah.
Fishy cargo smelly thing.
Yeah. Somebody left the door open. Open door policy. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Open door policy.
That's what we have here at the APG, an open door policy.
Fishy cargo open door, I've written down.
Fishy cargo open door. Well, you don't like the angle of dangle, huh?
Okay. Oh, I do like the angle of dangle. It gives me lots.
Well, write that one down too.
I have.
Okay. Show without an interesting name. Well, thanks, Lane.
See what you thought of this episode.
Yeah.
Who let this guy?
Great contribution, Lane.
Jeez.
Yeah. Who let Lane back into the chat room?
Yeah, of course, Micah has to
out.
turn it into a song title, doesn't he?
Of course. We expect nothing less, Micah. Song title for all occasions.
You're
Lane's
only
not a
supposed to lock the bloody doors. That's great. I love that. You
Lane's
need to
not
know
a new
the
listener.
film
He's an
reference.
ex-listener.
We had lots of first feedback today.
Yeah.
Last.
First and last.
First and last.
Combined.
Sorry, Marius.
Yeah, and all of you, Charlie. I
don't think I can read
messed
that,
up his
Micah.
joke.
Yeah, I thought Micah was supposed to be a safe person to be with.
Apparently not.
Yeah, we can't even say that one.
No.
Open doors to remove that fish smell. Yeah. All right. Well, that gives us some things to ponder and some ideas for our wonderful creative artist.
The second best AP show ever, APG show. Actually,
you
considering
could
the
call it
number
the
we-
worst part of the show.
Yeah.
Wasn't our
Consider the number you've produced, Jeff. That's quite a compliment.
Yeah. 461 and counting.
Right.
Yeah, we're still aiming for the best. Anyway. All right. Well, that gives us a lot of ammo for cover art. Thank you, everybody, for that. And look forward to hanging out with you all next week. And we hope that you have a great rest of your week and weekend. And until then, adios.
See you next time.
Muchachos.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye-bye.